Greetings and salutations, everyone. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Academic Foxhole on a Thursday when we do our Mac gaming. But we have a very, normally we play The Long Dark, and by normally I mean for years. Although it's not actually been, it has been like 50 sessions. So that's a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been playing The Long Dark for over a year. Also, we've been playing The Outer Worlds for over a year, but we're almost done with them. But we're doing a special thing today. I'm doing a bit of a thing. So I was asked to play a visual novel by the creator of this visual novel. First Step Cinematics. They're an indie creator, right? And they make visual novels using my favorite visual novel language system, Ren'Py, that's actually technically pronounced Ren'Py. That's how it is. My angel of musicology says, "Go and sing for me." Oh, I will. Don't you just wait. I just have to tell you what I'm doing. So we're gonna play. So they were like, "Would you play this game?" Because I program in Ren'Py and so I was on the message boards. They're like, "Would you do it?" I was like, "Sure." So I'm gonna go and play. I bet you're wondering why I have a vampire on the stream with me right now. I'll tell you in a second. So the thing is, I was like, "Oh, you want me to play like a Ren'Py game?" Because I love Ren'Py. So yes, absolutely. And it's called what? Twice Reborn. Cool. What's it about? Vampires? Oh, wait a minute. And what is the text here that says, "If you crossed a vampire, would you protect humanity or embrace the blood?" And I thought, interesting. That seems like a tricky question. And then I thought, if I were going to play a visual novel that involves vampires and the question, "Do you protect humanity or embrace the blood?" I feel like there's nobody else I should play that with than Laugh Love Lindy, who, you may not have noticed, is here today, right now, with me.
Tis I, Laugh Love Lindy. And I don't really think that's much of a question. I think the answer is vampires.
Is it?
I don't know if you know this about me, Trooper, but I like vampires.
Do you?
Yeah. Like a fair bit.
I have questions about all that. I want you to know it. I have questions. I should say that First Step was very kind, and they gave me a Steam code for this game. So at the midpoint around-ish, sometime around, we're gonna do a giveaway so that you can play the game yourself. They do request that if you would leave a review of it on Steam, that would be very kind. I have things, many things.
Wow, me too.
But the first
Crazy
thing, though,
small world,
is that Krellin. Oh, I don't actually sing this with the megaphone. So sad. But Krellin resubbed, and I appreciate every single sub. Every single sub is helpful to me because it helps me, do stuff, pay the things for the peoples and the stuff. And so when people sub, I sing the name game, and I'm gonna do that right now. Hawkeye also resubbed. Hawkeye. Where's my? You know what I need? Oh, I see that. Yes, thank you. I need my. I've got a little special thing. It's a. What is it? It's a program. Yes, it's a window, and the window. So sorry about that. The window tells me when people do things. Boom. Also, we get a first-time chatter who is a bot who is going to just have to be banned because I don't like bots in my channel because I am... Lindy and I were actually talking about this.
I'm sorry, Trooper, do you hate bots?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I'm a bigot. I'm an anti-bot bigot.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Those bots have lives too, Trooper.
Do they? Do they? Speaking of that, ponder Boston Dynamics, those cute robot dogs that don't have machine guns on them. Ponder that while I say the name game. This background music is distracting me, so we're gonna see what happens. Come on, everybody. Let's play a game. Bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F or an M will appear. And then I say bow at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. I say the name again with an F, very plain, and a fee, fi, and a mo. Then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can rhyme. Hawkeye, Hawkeye, Bobaka, Banana, Fano, Fofaka, Fee, Fa, Momok Guy. Hawkeye. Krellin, Krellin, Bobellin, Banana, Fano, Fofelin, Fee, Fa, Momelon. Krellin. The name game. I'm sorry, the music makes me feel like I'm kind of like a very, like, I just feel like I'm a soul patch, and it's the 90s, and I'm like, soulful grunge, do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, you do. I bet I have floppy hair, too, just a little bit of, like...
the soul patch was kind of the worst. I'm not gonna lie.
Ooh. Maybe I'm wrong about the floppy hair. Maybe I have a soul patch, but I have, like, frosted tips.
Oh.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yes. Yes. Krellin can't really hear the backing music. Oh. Well, hold on.
That is odd.
Oh, so it's in the background, but it's not particularly loud, is what I've got here. I'll just turn you up. Tell me if you can hear it more now. Because I got some background music going on there. Bot Lives Matter. So, hey, Rissa, how are you? I killed a bot in your absence, Murder. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting some volume of it. So it's a little better. You want a bit more? All right. I can do that. So one of the things I'm going to do, by the way, when I have a little bit of extra time, is I'm going to go and do a whole complicated audio chain so that I can separate Zoom's audio from the rest of the computer's audio. So I can have Mindy on one channel and the game on another, or whomever, and I can balance it.
There's a lot of things you're going to do when you have some time.
Speaking of time... I am not going to host Critical Role tonight because I have to pack for my bike packing trip. But after that, I'm good because I'm actually caught up except for the last episode, which just dropped yesterday. Oh. So it's good. Okay, so Rissa hopes that my weather turns out nice for my bike packing trip. Guess what I found out? We're in a heat wave, apparently.
What?
Yeah. And it's going to be like 95 degrees tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Or 98. Chrome thinks I'm never hosting CR again. I am, because I want to.
Well, I will say you did pick literally the hottest month out of the year to go packing. Backpacking, biking.
Well, but here's the thing, though. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, where there's not a lot of difference between January and July.
Yeah, but how long ago was that?
You know, I left my heart in San Francisco because I might be a vampire, or a lich. I don't know. Like, when you can leave your heart somewhere, does that make you... What undead are you?
That's an excellent question. That is an excellent question that there's probably more than one answer.
I feel like you're a lich, right? Because then your heart would be a phylactery.
But your soul is in the phylactery.
Fair.
I feel like you could leave your heart in a lot of places if it's not beating.
I cannot leave extra early because my check-in time is 1 p.m., which means I'll be riding my bicycle at noon in great weather. Yes. I can see it now. Hosting wars, Hawk versus Trooper. I would lose for sure. I don't know about that. You've got Virgil and Tori. So, Lindy.
Yes, Trooper.
I want to talk to you before we start this game, which is beautiful. I'm seeing it on my face. About your love of vampires.
Okay.
Recently, you and I did a small experiment where we just checked all the characters you played.
Oh.
How many of them were either monsters or monster fuckers versus just not one of the other ones.
Yeah.
And I believe that it turns out that maybe...
It was less than I thought.
But it was more than... it was not a small percentage.
It was like, what, 40%? 35, 40%?
I think it was more than half.
No, it wasn't more than half because that's why I was surprised.
Oh.
Because I was expecting at least half. It was like 40%.
Right. But then I think there was a much higher percentage of monster fuckers than monsters. Would we broke that down?
Yes, there was a high. Out of the 40%,
yes,
it was like a 60-40 split of monster fucker versus monster. Yeah.
Yes.
This is only because people don't invite me to games where you can be a vampire in.
Is that true?
This is true. Otherwise, I'd be a vampire all the time.
Okay, but now how often are you invited to games where you'd be a vampire hunter?
About as often as I've been invited to games as where I'm a vampire, so like once each.
I see. Do you want to talk about the internal pain that causes you? That you might have to kill your faves?
It's a lot, but sometimes you have to kill your faves, but only as a last-ditch, like last resort thing. Yeah.
Crow says, it's funny, I've been making vampires in Shadowrun for the past couple of days. It's internal pain. So let me ask you this.
I will say that very recently, Pope World Build ran a small Magic the Gathering themed campaign on my channel, and it was Innistrad themed, which made me over the moon excited because that meant I got to play a Dampier, which is a half vampire, which is as close as you can get to a whole vampire in many systems. And I had so many bats, and I was very excited about it.
Can I make 2 comments?
Yes. Is one of them about how I always GM the vampire gothic horror, never playing it?
That's the 3rd comment.
Okay.
That was the 3rd comment. The 2nd comment is that I thought a Dampier was a vampire that was just kind of wet. Like had been out in the rain.
No. That's different.
That's different. Okay. And then I just want to note that someone in my chat, Rissa, who is my mod, and also my GM for Call of Cthulhu, and also Awesome, says, Trooper says he's Lindy's friend, but then he calls her out like this and/or leaves her behind to die. I'm shocked he could convince her to come back. Yes.
I'm just building up a very long list of grievances against Trooper, so that way when I need to blackmail him one day, I have plenty of resources.
Nice.
That's all. Yeah.
Let me ask you, while I pull up the game screen so that the people can see the game screen.
Yes.
What is your favorite vampire film?
Oh, that's tricky. I'll say, do TV series count?
No, I'm gonna ask that separately.
No. Oh, okay. That's a good question. See, a lot of vampire movies, they're murdering vampires, and I guess I get that. And there's still vampires in there, so you can root for them, even though they're gonna lose. I thoroughly enjoyed the Blade movies that I've seen. I've seen 1 or 2.
How many?
I know he's a vampire hunter. A few, I think. I don't know.
But he's also a Dampier.
He is, which I thought was cool. My favorite one was, and this answer could change later, but was the one where Dracula was in it, and I was like, oh, Dracula. I also saw a Vlad the Impaler movie where he was Dracula one time. That was pretty good.
I know you don't like watching horror films,
This is tricky because right, you gotta find like the vampire movies that aren't scary.
I feel like because I'm your friend, people in chat don't say anything. I feel like you and I should watch Billy the Kid versus Vampire. Dracula, pardon me. Billy the Kid versus Dracula.
Is this a vampire western?
Yes. And I know you don't like scary movies, but I feel like this is not going to count. I think it was meant to be a scary movie, but it was one of those Hammer horror films from the 60s. And it's Billy the Kid versus Dracula. And I just feel like maybe that you would, you know.
I might be able to be persuaded. I'm not gonna lie though, whenever I hear the name Billy the Kid, I don't think of the Western criminal most of the time first, because as a child I grew up playing Spy Fox games. And your first villain that you face is Billy the Kid. He's a billy goat, and he runs the Nectar of the Goats factory because he's trying to, make goat milk big instead of dairy milk. It's a whole thing. It's a fun game. You should play it sometime.
Okay, but I still am going to.
No vampires though.
I still am going to see if I can get
Billy
Lindy to watch The Hunger with me. She's not into horror films, but I feel like The Hunger might still work because feels way less horror than it does complicated love triangle that involve vampires. So I feel like she'd be into it. Also, if you need help, you have to blink 3 times. That's what they say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do it above the glasses so they can see it.
Yeah, I need a game to schedule for 2035, 2037. hey, look. There are options is all I'm saying. I did want to, before we started to play, I wanted to read this thing so that everybody knew what we're looking at.
Yeah, and my favorite vampire TV series, if you wanted to know that one.
Did.
Castlevania. Netflix did a really, really, really good job with it. It's so good. I've seen it like 3 times all the way through.
Vampire-related video game.
Oh, I don't know if I've played many vampire video games. The Witcher Blood and Wine expansion was phenomenal though. And I did play Castlevania Lords of Shadow, and that was pretty fun.
Comic books and or books.
I did enjoy reading Dracula. I know it's kind of a classic, but I had to pick a graphic design project for school where we did book layout design, and it had to be a public domain book, and everyone chose like, I don't know, regular things, boring things, and I was like, fuck yeah, Dracula! And so, yeah, I'm very intimate with the text of the book Dracula, one might say. There's
a thing that I have not done that I've heard about that I feel like I should do at some point in time. Not right now. Maybe you should do it. I don't know. I'm not the boss of you. The Daily Dracula. There's a company that, because Dracula's written as a epistolary novel, that sends you the letters like daily. So you get the you get the novel, but as
that's
letters.
Exciting,
right?
But there's also some web comics that have vampires.
Okay.
Because if this is a little known secret about me, I am super addicted to webtoons. I read them nightly before bed because they update once a week. So if you read like 30 of them, you have like 3 or 4 to read a night, and it's great. And there was one that finished a little while ago, but it was really, really interesting and cool. And it was there was 2 actually. One was like 1,000-something episodes long, and they made a Crunchyroll anime about it.
Oh, cool.
That one was Noblesse, and it was freaking awesome. Like, it was super action-packed and epic. And then the other one, what was it called? It was really cool. I'm gonna think of the name in like 2 minutes as I look it up on my phone. But it was, I cried. Like, they both made me cry, and that's not an easy thing to do.
Lysander Salamander notes that they actually order all the letters as they're dated. So, like, journal entries and newspaper clippings, and so everything is ordered. And I was like, oh, I've read really good things about it in terms of what is it like to not be able to binge it. People just have to wait until these little things come in, and I've heard very good things about it.
That does sound good. And Unholy Blood is the other webtoons that had vampires. That was really, really good.
Phantom Rollbooth says, my favorite part of the Castlevania series was when you finally got to episode 5 and had to double back to unlock the new scenes in episode 1. Oh. Ooh, that's interesting. there was a comic book that I really loved. One of my favorite vampire things is, so House of Mystery was a comic book, DC, back in the day. I used to read, I was like a DC kid rather than Marvel, not because of Batman versus the X-Men, but because DC had a bunch of horror comic books and sword and sorcery comic books and a bunch of like non-superhero comic books. And so they had The Witching Hour, The House of Secrets, The House of Mystery. And The House of Mystery had this, was like just like a horror anthology with like different little short stories all along. But they had an ongoing recurring series called I, Vampire. And I, Vampire...
That sounds familiar.
Was about this like super handsome vampire with black hair with like a white streak. And he had this, back in the day, he had this lover, this human lover. And she was named Mary. And she was an innocent, sweet thing, you know. And he like confessed his vampirism to her. And she's like, oh, don't worry. I don't, you know, like, it doesn't change how I feel about you. I care about you. And he's like, oh, true love. And she's like, yeah, you should, by the way, turn me into a vampire, because otherwise, like, we won't be together forever. You should totally do that. And he's like, but being a vampire is so terrible, I would never want to put this curse on. She's like, I know, I will suffer this for our love. And he's like, really? And she's like, absolutely. And he's like, okay. So then he turns into a vampire. She's like, awesome. I'm gonna call myself Mary Queen of Blood. And then it turns out she was like, I love being a vampire. Let's murder people. And he's like, whoa, no. And so they have these rings, right? So they can always fight each other, but they're not good friends right now. And so they still have time travel, right? So there's like time traveling and like he's trying to chase her down so that she stops doing all these horrible things. And she's like, yes, but I'm gonna do horrible things. Anyway, it was really, really good. And that was one of my favorite vampire things.
That sounds awesome.
Yes. Ice Bunny, Tom's a Vampire is not known in America, although people who really like Jim Steinman know that musical. Yes. Let me ask you before we go, because I do want to know, who is your favorite Dracula?
Dracula.
That was a question from Lindy. From Rissa, pardon me. It's just that it says who's your favorite Dracula, Lindy.
I don't know. I love Dracula. Just Dracula as a concept.
But you have a favorite incarnation?
Hot Dracula. I don't know. There's
Lindy, first off, Hot Dracula is inappropriate because there's clearly more than one kind of Hot Dracula. Like, because people think that Edward from the Twilight is a Hot Dracula. And some people think that like Lestat's a Hot Dracula. So like, I feel like, what kind of Hot Dracula?
I just like Dracula. I don't have a favorite. I couldn't tell you. I cannot answer that question.
But like, are like skinny Draculas that glow in the sun your kind of hotness? Or like,
okay, well,
Draculas,
if
like...
he glows in the sun, he's not Dracula. If he sparkles, he's not Dracula. That's a Twilight thing, which yes, I did read the books and watched a movie. No.
Colonel's like, how is Edward a Dracula? There was
See? It's not a Dracula.
There was a thing about... Did you watch The Vampire Diaries?
Oh, I never got to finish it, but I did watch some episodes, yes.
I watched it, but I didn't fit to...
At a friend's house, yeah.
Yep. So, before we start, I just have to read you this text.
I'm ready.
In Twice Reborn, Mark Delaware, a teaching assistant... know all about that, becomes a newly turned vampire in a community forced to hide in plain sight. His mentor, Mickelson, has trusted Mark to become the Enforcer, a feared arbiter who keeps the quarreling vampiric houses following the code. When arson kills key vampires in the community, it's up to Mark to either embrace his blood or to find a way to somehow regain his humanity. There are sacrifices to be made.
Yes.
Interacting with humans and vampires
Human ones.
Is a delicate balance. Not all appreciate Mark's decision, and not all relationships can last. Some want him dead, others want him for their own. Mark's responses in the perilous community changes their reactions as well as the story's routes and endings. Survive the night! Satiate Mark's bloodlust, otherwise he may kill innocents. The opportunities for blood will not always be private nor moral. Not all are who they seem to be. which is
Sweet.
exciting. And
Yes.
just so you know, advisory warning contains flashing images, violence, moderate language, drugs, alcohol usage, and not suitable for all ages, just like Lindy.
I think I can handle it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't believe you just didn't mention the fact that I said that you were not suitable for our ages. Lindy's watching this through New Year's Eve, 1999. Through we're sharing our Discord together, so that's pretty exciting. I'm excited about that at least. Okay.
Handle it.
We're closing.
Ooh, voice acting, huh?
Oh, voice acting.
Go ahead, read.
Oh, you want me to read it?
Yes, please.
A teenager quickly stepped inside, walked directly to the aisle she wanted, grabbed an action film, and placed the DVD in front of the clerk.
That'll be $3.49.
Damien stood behind the counter of the video rental store and waited for his 53rd customer that day to count her change. She smacked her gum.
Side note, I'm just going to make a couple of notes because I know this engine quite well. They're doing animations on the eyes that are very good. Those animations are like, normally if you like, oftentimes people will not do animations for like this kind of like 2D thing, and if they do, they just have the image of the eyes closed and eyes open, and they'll just have them in there. But this is like, clearly there are multiple stages to this eye close. It's very good. It's very good. And also, you'll notice they're doing Happy Millennium on the screen in the back, so they have like a lot of really subtle little animations in the background, which I really appreciate.
He squinted his black-lined eyes when she didn't place the money on the counter. Shaking her head, her large hoop earrings jangled.
Ooh. This is Renpai.
It's getting expensive here.
Also, I would like to note that I really like the art. They've got like it's a really, you're an artist and a graphic designer, Lindy.
Not an artist.
You are an artist.
But I am a graphic designer. I'm a graphic designer.
Which is an art.
But it's not an artist. They're two different job descriptions. There's lots of music is art, but you're not an artist necessarily.
Go on. Go on.
You wouldn't ask a musician to draw something for you. You wouldn't ask a graphic designer to necessarily either. But anyways, if that guy's not a vampire, I'm gonna flip a table because he looks very vampy. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, they look really good. I'd commission that artist.
Right? Yeah, I would too. What I like about it is that I like that it is, so a couple of things that I'm noting. One, a lot of visual novels, especially coming out of the Renpi style, are kind of anime style, not made by people in Japan. Kind of like a sort of like a slightly faux anime style from people who have watched animes but did not necessarily grow up in the tradition and are just sort of doing a thing. And this is not going for that. It has like a really nice, it has its own character, right? It has a sense of
it has a lot of character.
Yeah. I like that you may not be able to tell y'all watching, but the Damien, his shirt has texture to it. So like there's a lot of really little details in here that are very, very nice that I really appreciate, including like the reflection on the floor. So like whoever did the artwork did a very good job. Also, I'll notice that very often what happens when people are putting together their visual novels is they'll hire someone different to create the backgrounds than they do to create the sprites. Because a lot of artists will only do sprites and other artists will only do backgrounds, and so you get a weird mismatch quite often.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, between background and sprite, and this is all very coherent, so I'm into it.
I like it too. And I'm excited to see how the facial expressions change, because that's always something I pay a lot of attention to when playing visual novels.
Me too. Okay, can I just tell you that I really love that we're playing this game together? Sorry, go ahead.
Damien sighed and looked at the clock. 30 more minutes till his shift ended.
We have the
I bet
VHS
he's on
version.
night shift.
It's cheaper.
So this, I think it's the year 2000, by the way.
I'm sure.
Oh.
If I wanted a VHS, I would have gotten one. Pendejo.
Ooh, somebody's being rude.
I see. Rolling her eyes, she paid and swiped the rental from the counter before striding away.
Okay, Lysander says, I should play more visual novels. Miss Moy says, oh, okay, so that's why the background is softer. Someone is very spicy, it is true. So I just want to say that I feel like there are two different types of vampires, right? They're the vampires that don't have to work because they have wealth from, I don't know, when they were aristocrats in the 13th century, and vampires that have to work at like video stores. I don't know which one is which.
I feel like it depends on how long ago you were turned into a vampire and how bored you are, because I imagine that some people just get bored and they don't care about the money, but they want to get like a job to keep busy, drama.
Yeah.
I mean, if you lived forever, imagine how much joy you would get from, I mean, instead of watching soap operas, you could create soap operas in your workplace and just not give a fuck.
Yeah, probably also with your mind control.
Yeah. Finally, he was alone. 30 minutes until the next millennium. Maybe if he was lucky. Y2K, the blackout from all computers, would shut down the damn place. Based on how the news was reporting, everyone expected it.
So, what do you think? Do you think when we hit this Y2K thing, everything will be destroyed?
No, I lived through it. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
We didn't even lose power or anything, so.
Boring.
It was always the same work of stacking shelves and checking out customers. He missed when he had time for just himself.
Riss is like, or a job that gives you access to a food supply.
That's true, too.
And Triffid notes the magic of compound interest.
This was one of the few businesses in town open late, so they always had the misfits, the stragglers, the late night date crowds. But the rest of the small town was quiet.
They also have the vampires?
Probably. He couldn't care less. His life wasn't going to change in 15 minutes. Nothing new happened in this town. It was 3 years ago since he graduated high school, and he still had the same job.
Ooh, Damien. Krellin notes, Y2K would have been a big deal if we didn't know it was coming, and spent 5 years before fixing it to make sure it was an issue. Yeah. I read a thing about how when they found out that Y2K was coming, they're like, we need to fix it. But most of the computer programmers did not know how to do, like, machine language. So they'd, like, go back and find those old-timer, like, computer programmers who are like, all right, they're calling me back. I've got one last mission. I've got to go and fix Y2K. Like, and I thought that was, like, kind of cool. Yes. People keep talking about, hey, remember, like, when problem was a huge problem? Yeah, that's because we fixed it, Matt. Yes. I'm going to note that in the background, there is Dracula. They've got they have the video.
Yeah. I see that. King Kong?
Yeah, King Kong, the Phantom, the Invisible Man. So they actually have actual DVD covers in the background, VHS covers in the background, which is very cool. I'm approving the attention to detail.
Yes. Pressing play on his CD player, he flipped open a guitar magazine he kept next to the register. His mind wandered. The door chimed and a tall man walked in.
Vampire.
Damien recognized him on sight, another loner like him. Ricky came to town months ago. Damien sometimes joined this wanderer for a cigarette after work because he had nothing better to do.
Vampire.
Yet.
Vampire.
Even that night, Ricky wore an outfit that looked like he stepped from a greaser movie.
Vampire.
Damien never understood his obsession with vintage goods. Ricky was a little odd, but so was he.
He dresses like that because he's a vampire. Lindy knows.
From the 50s.
Yeah.
From the 1950s.
Come on.
What's up? Happy Millennium. Are you going to watch the fireworks?
Oh, we got some mouth movement. Excitement.
Nah, I'm
It's a
heading out.
little...
It's time for me to be leaving. Happy 2000, man.
I don't like how it's just teeth, though. I'm gonna say that freaks me out a little bit. They're all like, yeah, man, it's so good to see you. How do you like these?
Did you notice his teeth,
Y2K. No, I was too busy being freaked out by the both fact that they both talk like this.
You might want to look at his teeth.
I'm sure he'll speak again.
Yes.
Damien's stomach sank. Ricky was planning to move on to the next place. Had been talking about it for days.
Rissa says that Leather Jacket says, well, werewolf.
Where are you going?
I'm skipping this Loserville.
Oh, yeah?
Wanted to stop and say goodbye.
Yeah.
Feels a little fangy
He's
to me.
giving this Loserville.
Yeah.
He wanted to stop and say goodbye.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you've got some fangs on. Tell me about your
I
fangs.
do. They were like $10-12, and I got them for a wedding. I was the matron of honor. It was a Disney of the Dead wedding.
Nice.
And I forgot to fit them to my teeth beforehand, and so I did it in the parking lot of a state park about an hour and a half before the wedding.
Nice. Also, I just feel like Damien's gonna die right now, but go ahead.
I get it. Call me when you get to the next stop.
A grin stretched Ricky's face.
Don't worry. I'll make sure to keep in touch. Life's too short to stay in one place. There's a fresh 1,000 years waiting out there. Gotta experience it.
Lindy.
I know. Let's do something to celebrate. No one's gonna come in this late. It's good timing.
Okay, what do you think? Will Damien just get murdered, or will he be turned into a vampire?
He'll get turned into a vampire.
I can't go smoke if that's what you're thinking. Shift's almost up, and I have a date with Chenshu.
I'm worried.
I was thinking of getting something to eat.
Yep. Go on. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Lindy, do you have feelings?
Vampire.
But the only place that's open tonight is the Chinese restaurant on Main Street.
Ricky's usual I don't give a shit grin was gone as he walked up to the counter. Damien felt a chill.
It's rude. I like the little curly cues on our text box.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that there's a shadow mirror of them on the corners. I like that.
Who wants Chinese? I have something extra fresh in mind.
Before this murder happens, I just want to note that I really like Ricky's hair. The art on Ricky's hair, like I love the the highlight and shadows.
Ricky's a cool cat.
Yep. I really like the art.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, he got him. Sharp teeth broke Damien's flesh.
Oh!
His body slammed into a cabinet. Damien punched Ricky in the side. As he pulled back for a second punch, his arm was grabbed by Ricky. Fingers bruised Damien as his arms were forced to his side. Ricky bit again.
Let go, you freak! What are you?
A vampire. Ricky's eyes shone with an eerie light. He pulled away from Damien. His crimson-stained lips formed a grotesque smile as he bitterly laughed.
Freak. No, man. You'll understand soon.
Ricky's breath reeked of copper, which is weird because blood has more of an irony taste, but whatever, it's fine.
The irony of it, isn't that ironic?
Oh, so ironic. Damien winced as he dropped to the floor with a thud. Ricky laughed as he left the video store, soft words echoing in Damien's mind.
To the new millennium.
So,
3 hours later.
So this is what I want to say, right?
Yeah.
In the role-playing game, Vampire the Masquerade,
Mm-hmm.
old school style, the Camarilla have these traditions, things that you are supposed to do or not do. And like the first one is, don't break the masquerade. Don't let mortals know that you're a vampire. That way brings the or we'll kill you. That way brings the Inquisition. And one of the other ones, of course, I don't know if it's the second tradition, one of them, is that you're not allowed to make new vampires without permission. And
I don't think there's a Camarilla here.
no. But what I do want to say is that that makes sense, because if you have too many vampires in a small town, there'll be problems. You know what I mean? There'll be food chain problems.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't seem like Ricky gives many fucks.
No, because he's a bad boy.
He's such a bad boy.
3 hours later. This is still you.
All right. Falling New Year's balloons danced on the video store's monitors as another time zone celebrated Y2K. A newscaster proudly boasted that the massive computer crash that was expected hadn't happened anywhere in the world. People celebrated the new day and danced in the streets, but it was quiet in videos and games. The door swung open and a cute teen wearing a short skirt entered the store. I think she's going to get eaten by newly turned vampire Damien.
Yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense. The
Mhm.
progeny is the third tradition. Thank you. Is the second tradition like basically respect your elders or we'll kill you?
Oh,
Damien?
no, she looks like a
Sweetie,
vampire
where
too.
are you? You were late picking me up.
Oh, no, maybe he'll turn her as well because
Yeah,
they're dating.
Yeah.
Yeah. After a glance to the counter, she knew no one was there. Zhenju became distracted as her eyes scanned the colorful rows of neat shelved movie boxes. Browsing a section, she picked up a film title from the shelf before returning it.
Krillin notes that the traditions predate the Camarilla.
It was too quiet. As much as Damien hated his job, he would never leave the lights on and the entrance unlocked. He better haven't forgotten about their date.
No, he was attacked by a vampire. Ooh! Oh, okay.
Mm.
Ooh. Okay. So she's sort of like Lolita Goth, 2000
Yeah.
style.
She cute. She cute.
Yeah. She walked around a little bit looking at things. Do you think she walks around some, or do you think she thinks that he's maybe listening to music? What do you think?
I think she'd walk around.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, let's do it.
She walked between the shelves, looking down the aisles for her boyfriend. She crossed empty space after empty space.
Oh, wait. Having her walk around might get her killed. I hope Ricky left already, though.
She walked toward the register. Damien's magazine and his CD player was out on the counter, but he was nowhere nearby.
It's ominous.
A metallic scent teased the air. Her shoes squished down into the carpet.
That's
With a
bad.
frown, she looked down. Large spots of blood stained the carpet around her toes.
Bad?
She screamed. Tiptoeing through the blood, she stepped around the counter and prayed her boyfriend wasn't dead.
Maybe you should pray.
Damien!
No one was there. Her heart pounded. I like that you can hear the heartbeat very faintly.
Yeah.
What if the attacker was still inside? She ran to the front of the store. She reached for the doors, but they were locked.
Oh, that's bad. When did that happen?
She pulled against them, pounded her small fists against the glass.
Help! Somebody!
By the way, voice acting for this style of visual novel, that's extra business, you know?
Mm-hmm. Her hands shook as she pulled out her flip-open keypad cell phone to call 911. A calm voice came from behind her.
It's bad.
I'm right here.
He gonna buy it. Two arms grabbed her from behind. Jinju dropped her phone on the floor. A sharp pain came as she felt her life fading away.
It's about flip phones.
Dun dun dun!
Oh my goodness. I don't even know if I can handle it. Oh. Well, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do this one because we're a different scene. TA Mark Delaware ran past a no standing on the grass sign as he bypassed sprinklers, leapt over a hedge, and landed in a patch of freshly dug dirt. Ooh, birds just flew by. Very nice attention to detail here. He muttered as he ran with his collared shirt half tucked in, his hair half brushed. Mark tore a bite from a bagel before stuffing his mouth. Ooh, I can hear those little footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
So by the way, I'm gonna out Lindy on something. She hates the French tuck, which is when you half tuck in your t-shirt and then half not tuck it in, which is the new fashion. Which I do not think that
I
Mark
hate
is
it.
doing that on purpose. I think it's just because he's
No, I think he's just. I mean, he's got a bagel
yeah
and running.
yeah.
His hair's half brushed. I don't think it's an intentional thing.
The bells of St. George University echoed, and Mark cursed. picking up his pace. He waved to the groundsman as he turned a corner and nearly crashed into one of the Catholic institution's blue-robed monks. Missile Monkey agrees with us that the French tuck looks like crap. And it does.
Thank you.
I mean, look, the only way that you can get a French tuck to look good is if you are a model. In which case,
Yeah.
pretty much everything looks good on you.
Yep.
He shook his head in quiet disapproval.
Sorry, Brother Luke. I'll see you later in French.
Mark held up his hands in apology, sidestepped him, and entered into the history building. So this is a Catholic university that still has lots of monks. I just feel like, do we actually even really have a lot of full-on monk universities anymore? That are not seminaries?
We do here.
That's fair. With a strong stride, he approached the double doors of the auditorium. He paused. Behind those heavy doors was Professor Mickelson's Ancient Civilizations class, filled with 500 underclassmen. Are you late and you're a TA? Hello, Cat. Cat's like, ooh, vampire mom.
Yeah.
Um,
Nothing she hasn't seen before.
I like how Tessa was like, ooh, face. I did an image search for French tuck, and every photo is a stick-thin model. This is what I'm trying to say, Scabianac. A glance to his watch told him that he was 10 minutes late. Ooh. He finished chewing his bite of bagel, took a deep breath, and opened the door. Do you know why you can't be late as a TA? Because your professors don't know how to use AV, so that's your job. Just to make sure that everything's set up. Yeah, Hawk is like, it had a name. I thought it was just people being lazy. No. You can't be lazy and do a French tuck. You actually have to very purposefully tuck in half of your shirt, but then not the other half.
It's real dumb.
Why does our professor have long hair? Professor Steve
He
Mickelson.
looks like a vampire hunter.
He does, right? Looked up from the lectern. Also, his vest is too short. And narrowed his eyes at his teaching assistant. Without missing a beat in his lesson, his booming voice continued about the advancements of ancient Roman housing.
I wonder how he knows about that ancient Roman housing.
Me too. Mark didn't miss the look. Sneaking off to the side. His dew-covered canvas shoes squeaked as he slunk low in one of the empty aisle seats. Also, he should probably be up on the stage doing AV for his professor who does not know how to work AVCR. Mark, he knew he was going to get a lecture after class on punctuality. A sweet voice whispered at his side.
You're late again.
Okay, so it's 2000. She's got slouchy sweat jacket, mysterious medallion.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Who is she?
Jody.
Well, go on. Say more about her then.
Oh no, that's his ear scene.
Oh, fun. Jody Phelps was auditing Professor Mickelson's class that semester. Whenever the professor talking animatedly about the past, she intently listened. She leaned forwards and fiercely typed notes on her laptop. So either she is a vampire hunter, maybe. Her varied expressions are what Mark found charming. Mark? No. She opened a new window in the laptop. With its touchscreen, she began to doodle. Touchscreen in 2000?
He must be rich.
Right? Mark wondered what she could be up to. She tossed her blonde hair over her shoulder as she pouted in concentration. I don't trust her. Mark's eyes followed her movement and started to look at her pale pink sweater. She was so focused, she did not even notice his gaze. Creeper. Jody slid the screen towards Mark. He had to slap a hand over his mouth to keep from bursting out in laughter in the middle of class. There on the screen was a caricature of the professor as a dragon with fire coming from his mouth. Small Mark was getting hit by the flames. Well, maybe she likes a little bit of D&D?
I wouldn't lose. A knight always defeats the dragon.
Oh, Mark. Not when you're first
Mark,
level.
you sweet summer child.
Oh, come on now.
Oh.
Jody rolled her eyes. Smart. Mark squirmed in his seat. As he did so, he felt the cold squish of mud between his toes.
Why?
Because he was running through that. He landed on that fresh dirt.
It should not be in your shoes, bro.
Maybe
That's what I'm
Maybe
saying.
he's wearing like weak canvas shoes. So weak.
Oh, so weak.
Behind him was a trail of mud footprints down the carpet to his seat. Jody followed his gaze. Her mouth popped open in surprise.
Mark, ever heard of wiping your feet?
Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Rude.
Mark turned his attention to the professor and wondered if he had also seen the mess. However, the professor was completely involved in his story. You know who will see that mess? The people who work in janitorial. What's wrong with you, Mark?
Yep.
Also, I just feel like the night always eats the dragon. It's no good. In the hushed auditorium, students were drawn to him, eyes and ears locked to his every word and expression because he's using presence, which is a vampire power. Despite Professor Mickelson's nerdy look of tweed jackets and bow ties, he wasn't an awkward man. Do you mind if I say? Ice Bunny says sandals are shoes too. Fair. The knight always beats the dragon. Are we sure he's smart? So I feel like his bow tie is too small. I know that some people like to wear extra small bow ties, but I feel like he should be wearing a larger bow tie for his head and face.
Maybe he's wearing a small bow tie to say, I don't need to compensate for anything.
Maybe. Or also his vest is too short. Or he might be thinking, I'm a vampire. If anyone gives me guff, I'll give me an excuse to kill them.
Yeah.
His words invoked an unexpected, powerful charisma. He apparently can go out in the daytime. He dove into tales of ancient Rome or the Middle Ages as if he knew what it was once like to once live them. Because he made class fun. The packed classroom students liked him, no matter how much he challenged them. Carl says, no one should wear bow ties because Tucker Carlson written for everyone. Tucker Carlson does not get to dictate bow tie fashion. Professor Mickelson was one of the most respected instructors at the university. There were rumors.
Probably because he's a vampire hunter.
He's a vampire. There were rumors about the professor's age, that he'd been teaching at St. George's for 20 years. However, the academic looked in his late 30s. His brown brushback hair had moments of white. You know, professors age well. His keen eyes never missed a student out of place. Mark reached over to Jody's laptop and pulled up a new screen. Jody looked up in surprise. He wrote, want to go out? Inappropriate. I realize she's just an auditor and not technically in the class. Don't ask out people. There's a chain of command situation. Don't do it. I mean, she is auditing, so she's not getting grades. But still, you can wait till the semester's over.
Yeah, sounds good.
I disapprove. Mark typed, Friday, lunch at Dives Diner. Jody nodded yes. Mark beamed. Again, I disapprove. Oh.
Oh, no.
Mark thinks she might be a good girlfriend, although Mark didn't want to admit it. He was serious about her. Okay, my friend. What kind of person do we think Mark is?
Not the brightest bulb in the box.
Ooh.
Also not very, like, committed because he was late and his hair was half brushed, his shirt was half tucked, and he's got mud between his toes.
Because his shoes have holes in the soles?
Or
Or maybe he's wearing some Tevas or Birkenstocks with this outfit.
you should not with this outfit.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think he's serious about her.
Okay, but do you think he thinks he's serious about her after even not having any conversations with her? I want to know.
He doesn't want to admit it, but he's serious, or he thinks she might be a good girlfriend. You know, I don't know if he thinks that long term.
So what are
I'm
you
not
thinking?
giving Mark a lot of credit here, is what I'm saying.
I'm not giving him credit either. I feel like these are both bad answers in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
What do you think?
I'm gonna note he's never been on a date with her, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he is just asking her on a date for the first time. So
Yeah,
there
it's
is
probably good girlfriend rather than like serious.
Yeah. Although I think that he could be just really ridiculous enough to think that serious is like appropriate at this point in
Ugh.
time.
Ugh. I don't think he thinks that long term though. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah, because if he did, he would not be late. Yeah, okay.
He would not be as disheveled nor like the knight always beats the dragon. I'm like, have you not read like Ivanhoe? The knight does not always beat the dragon.
That concludes
Dragon needs a lot
our
of knights
section
first.
on ancient Roman housing. Make sure you read the readings. Oh, and Mr. Mark Delaware, I will speak with you after class.
Side note, as a person who was a TA, you don't normally have to say that, right? Because as a TA, your job is to be there before the class starts to set up AV, because your professor's like, I don't know how DVD works. And you're like, don't worry, professor. Here's how the DVD works. It's okay. And then afterwards, you've got to talk to the professor and be like, what do you need? Is there anything I need to do about grading? Or if I'm the professor, your job is to make sure that I get pulled out of the classroom after about 15-20 minutes after class ends, because students will come and talk to me after class to want to tell me things, and I will then want to talk to them. And my TA's job, I said, your whole main job is to make sure I do not stay here for an hour talking to students after class. So you have to pull me out. So, you know, you don't have to tell Mark Delaware he has to wait. He has to talk to the professor. My TAs are terrible at that job. Sometimes they're decent. Sometimes. Student heckles came from somewhere in the hall as Mark sunk down in his seat. It was not good for the teacher's assistant to be the one called to the front.
No.
Hey, do you think Mark is supposed to be a grad student or an undergraduate? He should be a grad student.
I have no idea.
Mark knew the professor's lectures almost by heart, but maybe he should have at least acted more like he was focused on his mentor. He's got to be a grad student. Jody gave a big smile and a wink to Mark before skipping out the door. Sure, she didn't have to listen to Mickelson. Mark reluctantly waved goodbye, then wriggled through the mass of students making their way out of the auditorium. I'm gonna note, this was like, did you say it was like a 500-person class?
Yeah.
And there's only one TA? Do you know how much grading that is? That's miserable. That's miserable. When I TA'd for History of Rock and Roll at UCLA, that was a 500-person class. There were 5 TAs, so that each of us graded 100 papers apiece, as opposed to 500. That is you, Trooper. Get kidder students not show up for... Oh, no. They can show up for office hours, but they want to talk to me outside of office hours, is what's happening. No, she's not a TA. She's an auditor. Hey, Prax! Prax! Welcome in, Prax. We're playing a vampire game, Lindy and I, and we're trying to figure out what is... we have to make choices about smooching or staking vampires.
We do. And the answer is smooch.
Or steak. It's like a nice,
no.
rare steak.
Smooch.
We'll find out. Professor Mickelson gave short answers to the small line of them who lingered behind, which happens. Pope, I was talking about you recently, and I was saying kind things about you, for reasons.
Same though.
Reasons. A few of them were known to Mark. Desperate to make an A, they'd ask 1,000 questions or try to beg for extra credit. That tactic never worked. No, it does not. I had somebody crying to me when I was a TA. They got a C on their assignment and they wanted an A. They were a football player, and if they didn't get an A, they would never be able to play football or go to med school ever again. And so getting a C on this assignment would ruin their entire life. And so I really needed to give them an A. They got half the questions wrong, though, so...
I feel like a C was generous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Others in line were the ladies who had a crush on the professor. Mark had heard them say that Mickelson was mysterious, hot, and sexy. Why would they be so interested in a man who spent his days reading in a basement office?
It sounds like Mark doesn't know women all that well.
Or basement offices. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cron's like, they didn't realize you were a fluff course. Nope. They thought it was a fluff course, but it was not. Also, you don't teach at a college where sports is why people go there. I did. I made a football player cry. I didn't really. I was just like, no, you can't get an A. And then they cried, and I was like, yeah. So, after 10 minutes of answering questions, Professor Mickelson finally shuffled his students out of the doorway. Mark wondered if he'd get a long or short lecture this time. He cleared his throat to get Mickelson's attention. Do you think it's Mickelson or Michelson?
Mickelson.
Yes, sir?
Professor Mickelson paused before answering.
Mark, 4 years ago, you were the only freshman out of 5 students who got an A in my largest class.
He's an undergrad.
By some miracle, you're still on the dean's list. Yet your timeliness has not improved since the day you enrolled.
So he is an undergraduate as a TA? No. Rarely happens. Issues. Also, if he's an undergrad, he's probably not getting paid. I do not approve of this. With a slow shake of his head, he made his way around the lecture pulpit and off podium, and it's not a pulpit, and off the platform. Mark started to protest, but realized he better keep his mouth shut. Hello, by the way, VTuber Xantharus, who is rating us with a party of 5, welcome in, VTuber. VTuber is the creator of this game, so give them a good welcome. Welcome in. We were talking about the art of this game and being very complimentary about it. And since when did sport folks in normal classes do not have those special classes like counting readings? Adjusting his patched backpack over his shoulders, the TA followed as Mickelson continued speaking. Oh, I have to move over here. Welcome in, Raiders.
Come with me. We must speak. I know you don't have class with Brother Luke today until 10, so we should have some time.
For murder. Wait, if you ended up being late, how do you get a job? Yeah, see, Mr. Luke, if he's okay, here's the thing. If he's an undergraduate, him being late and irresponsible, he's not going to get that job. I'm just going to say it. You didn't do the art, but thanks. Oh, the art's great.
You expect we'll need that long?
Mickelson only replied with a frown. Also, we mentioned, you weren't here when he said it. I really enjoy the little small details that happen in the coding in terms of like the eyes, and he had like some like really nice little details in the background. Ooh, nice. Mark quickly nodded. Brother Luke taught him French in the mornings. Along with French, Mark was quick to also pick up Russian and Greek. Languages fed his soul, and he would spend hours getting lost in their study. That was one reason why history fascinated Mark. He would love to be able to read primary source documents as they were meant to be read. In the dark, in a monk's cell.
In the basement.
In the basement. Okay, Mark had to admit it. He was a little bit of a nerd. Mark. Looking at his watch to double check what the professor said, he saw there was plenty of time to speak with Professor Mickelson and still grab a coffee before the brothers' class. As they left the auditorium, Mark saw the damage his canvas sneakers, my friend, left behind. That's what it is. A galaxy of dirt footprints decorated the polished wooden floor.
Oh, not the wooden floor.
He closed his eyes and hoped Professor Mickelson didn't see the evidence. You know what this means? That means that somebody who works there is going to have to go and buff and wax that floor. Mop, buff, and wax that floor. Mark.
Gosh, Mark.
The older man did and gave Mark a knowing smile. Ooh. Instead of crossing the muck and walking through the crucifix-topped main doors, the professor led the way out through a side passage, which is where you're going to die, Mark.
Yep.
Mark. This is you.
It was a perfect North Colorado day. The skies were clear and it was a constant 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, that sounds
always so nice.
The beautiful campus was quiet, far from drudging traffic and lost tourists. A guitarist plucked at acoustic strings as he sat on a blanket beneath one of the many stone statues placed around campus. Mickelson kept to the shade as he avoided stepping on students, stretching themselves over the sidewalks and sleeping on the pine-shaded grass.
You know, I mean, Dracula could go out in the day. He was just weaker.
That is true. Dracula could.
Yes. Maybe Mickelson is also Dracula.
Could be. A few broke campus rules and smoked on the lawn. The grassy scent overpowered the fresh air. Mark coughed and picked up his pace.
Mark.
The professor frowned at the students but continued to lead the way.
I am distracted by how short Mickelson's vest is. I just want you to know it. Oh. They're leaving. You keep going, though.
Okay. few buildings later, they arrived at Mickelson's office.
Quick
Look
note.
at all those
Yeah.
weapons.
Look at all those weapons. I'm noticing a lot of weapons.
Uh-huh.
I'm noticing some Easter
Mhm.
Island heads. He has a
Mhm.
fireplace in his office.
He has a skull.
He has
In
a
his office.
skull in his office. So I'm going to say this is a very nice office, but this is a really old Catholic university, and I feel like first off, a fireplace, that's a big deal. It has to be an old university for there to be a fireplace in somebody's office, but I could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, if he's been here a long time, I bet he gets his pick up the offices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A few buildings later, they arrived at Mickelson's office. Unlike the other faculty with tenure, Mickelson never took an office with a large window.
Interesting.
Interesting. His cramped... Now, is it to keep vampires out or sunlight out? His
Or is it
cramped
because
office
he likes
was in
to
the...
dance naked in his office and he doesn't want anyone to see.
The options are endless. His cramped office was in the basement of the faculty building, had a small window near the ceiling with thick, short curtains that blocked out all sunlight. Maybe he's friends with vampires. Or, like, married to a vampire.
He's a vampire.
Vampires with benefits. I don't know.
Vampires with benefits.
Despite its basement location, his office was elegant. Evidence of the older building's architecture.
See?
The room was framed by floor-length bookshelves which held the knowledge of centuries. An antique lamp set on a small table in the corner of the room. Mickelson turned on the small lamp, crossed the wooden floors, and sat behind his desk while Mark took a seat across from him. Mark smoothed his collared shirt, ran his hands through his disheveled hair, and shifted uneasily, accidentally bumping the desk.
I suppose maybe it's a fake fireplace because the buildings are so old. There's no central heating. Oh.
A file fluttered towards the floor. Vampirism for Dummies. I don't know. Hit list. Something. Oh, but before Mark could react, his mentor shot his hand out and snatched the file midair before it touched the ground. Lightning quick reflexes, good for vampires or vampire hunters. The professor returned the file on the desk.
How are the students in your study session? Is everything going all right? What are they asking the most?
Mickelson has fangs.
Did he?
He does. He has fangs.
I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah, I'm just telling you. I mean, you have glasses on, but you don't have your glasses on.
But not mine.
You have to wait till he
like,
speaks.
Yeah, I'm ready for the next time he speaks. Okay. He leaned back in his chair and peeked his hands together in front of him.
Like a villain.
They're doing well. A quarter doesn't show, but I don't blame them. It's not like attendance is required.
They should show.
Oh,
and attend
no, he does.
So here's the thing. I don't take attendance for my large lecture classes, like the 500-person classes. When I was TAing for that big class, we did take attendance, which was really irritating. We would put like sign-up sheets on the walls, and people have to like sign in their names, but people could just sign in for other people too, whatever. Anyway, my point is, don't come to class. You're the one who's paying money to be here, and if you don't want to be here, don't be here. But then don't be sad when you get a C on your assignment.
Yeah. Mark ignored his quip.
There were some questions about the ancient Roman trade routes from the last lecture.
Yes, I wasn't able to go over that very well. We ran out of time.
I was able to explain it.
They understood.
I hope so. They didn't ask me any other questions after class.
This is authentic.
Professor Mickelson nodded. After a moment, he began to flip through a stack of campus mail piled on top of his desk. That also seems authentic.
It does.
You're graduating this semester. Are you ready?
There we go.
This seems
now I can see.
Suspicious. Uh-oh.
He knew the professor was talking about something besides graduation.
What's that supposed to mean?
The professor wanted Mark to start a career under the guidance of the most powerful art patrons in the city. They sponsored orchestras, talented painters, and actors.
So they're vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does
Yeah.
that mean? The professor wanted Mark to start a career under the guidance. What career? That's very vague. I feel
Career as a vampire.
right. Yes.
They'd been looking for a translator, and Mark had recommended it. When you live for a long time, you can know all the languages. You translate all things.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. I feel like Mark might not be the brightest bulb.
Which is, he's not no to vampirism.
Yeah.
Oh. If he was accepted, he would participate in their art negotiations. Mark pierced his lips. Just straight up right there went and... On one hand, the influential group would open doors for many opportunities. On the other hand, they were secretive.
I want you to meet the Society of the Arts before you walk. We will meet this Friday at 5 o'clock.
Look, Mark.
So soon? I thought we'd meet after graduation. I have a date with Jody this Friday.
Look, Jody's not a vampire. You have to get over it.
Yeah.
Mickelson stopped looking at the mail and shot Mark in an annoyed stare. Curt words came next.
Cancel it.
His expression softened with a smile.
Jenny will
Or
understand you have
else-
an interview with a bunch of rich hot people. So not just a vampire cultist. Yes.
I mean, you're not in love with her, right? You told me yourself that she was just a friend.
Why are you having this conversation with your professor? Why? How did
He's
this?
vampire.
Yeah. How did this conversation come up? Boundaries.
This is your future. I made sure that the whole society was going to be at this meeting. And not everyone consistently arrives to their functions, as you showed us well this morning.
Mark's cheeks reddened. Accept the job interview.
Lindy, why do you say that?
Because have you seen this dunce? Is he gonna get work elsewhere, please?
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to pick the Mark accepts the job interview. I'm going to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to note, this is a bad idea. First off,
Yes.
this professor, if he asks about your relationship with Jody, and you're like, that's like not an appropriate question to ask your TA. There's a lot of red
Because he's
flags
vetting
here.
him for vampirism.
Yeah, but
They're like, we need a really easily influenced younger vampire.
who doesn't really understand politics or what's what?
Yeah.
I'm just concerned that Mark is not thinking through all of these things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I do think that he would accept the job interview because clearly...
Okay, fine.
Oh, Mark.
Just fine. Once you meet these people, your life will change forever.
For forever.
It's never... Okay, let's pretend that Mickelson is not a vampire.
Okay.
And is not about to, like, bring Mark into, like, a vampire situation. It still wouldn't be good, because that sounds like some eyes wide shut, like, full of rich people who wear, like,
Yeah.
carnival masks and have strange orgies situation, and they want you to,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, be the photographer or something. I just feel like it's gonna be bad no matter what.
He should do it. He should do it.
You're great with languages, Mark. You've successfully
Mark.
taken 3 of them here. This is not an easy college to succeed in. And you've made it.
We don't need a new vampire. Mark would make the perfect Renfield. Absolutely. I mean, they're trying to film What We Do, the Shadow Cell documentary. Yes. I mean, nothing wrong with orgies. There's only something wrong with orgies if you didn't know you're being invited to one. That's all. You gotta know up front, you know what I mean?
Thanks, Professor. I really appreciate the opportunity. I'll reschedule my date.
I figured you would. Now, get going. Go outside and enjoy some sunshine before your next class.
Notice how there was a side passage that led directly from his office in the basement to the classroom. I bet he doesn't walk around in the sunshine all that much.
Yeah.
I mean, he did a little bit, but not like a lot of it.
But he stayed in the shade, right? Because they didn't want to step over the students.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's you.
Slapping Mark on the back, he sent him from his office. As Mark turned the corner to leave, he noticed the professor's smile vanish. His eyes turned sad as he watched Mark leave.
Mr. Moy's like, stupid and gullible AF. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get that vitamin D while you can. Girl, he's got fortitude. He can suck a couple of points of sun, but not full-blown sun.
Yeah.
I am concerned about what's going to happen here. Oh, look, it's nighttime. Great. Through the midnight campus, a sophomore student who's going to die walked towards her dorms with her biology books tucked under her arm. Biology, like blood, which is going to flow from her neck when she's killed by a vampire. It was a half moon, and the flickering streetlights shone wavering dim lights. The campus was quiet. Only students holed up in the library would be out so late. She cursed at herself for being stupid. She hung out her boyfriend's dorm room studying, quote unquote, until the RA kicked her out. I like her. She's got freckles.
She cute.
Yeah. Also, I love her eyebrows. They're bold. I like a good bold eyebrow sometimes.
They're very bold.
Yeah.
Nice ginger hair.
Yeah, absolutely. Tonight's Cute Kitty Cam brought to you by Mickelson's Fortified Fang Polish. Keep those incisors nice and shiny before your next feeding time. Yes. And Ani Geek says, unless you're playing V Rising, then you can't take about 10 seconds of sun before you have to get out of it. Oh, wasn't Lindy playing? Well, you were playing that, weren't you?
I was playing some V Rising, yeah.
And wasn't there like a lot of sun crisping?
Yeah, I was like, oh, hot, ow.
In the background of Mark's life is the robot from Lost in Space. Danger, Will Robinson! Danger! Freckles, so definitely not a vampire. I don't know. Maybe. The campus buses didn't make their rounds past 10 o'clock, and her jerk of a boyfriend didn't bother to walk her back, making pathetic excuse for something. A pathetic excuse about morning classes, by the way, because in Renpy, you can usually just page up or page down to move forward or backwards.
Oh, nice.
She usually didn't mind the historical buildings and beautiful bending trees. However, at night, their large shapes cast deep shadows blanketing the campus. I like her best. She glanced at the occasional dim yellow lights in the building's entryways. Her footsteps echoed as her shoes clicked against the sidewalk. I bet she's gonna die too.
That was so loud. That sounded like a branch more than a twig. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, a twig snapped behind her. She gasped, turning around. Her eyes darted toward the noise. I like that we've got some different body positions. A cat ran into the bushes. Wah, wah. Kendra laughed at herself. Uh-oh. Hey, anarchist friend. As she turned around, she walked into a man with a green mohawk who was going to murder her. He grabbed her arms as she stammered. Oh, bad news.
Sorry, I didn't see you there.
Or a vampire will kill him.
That's okay with me. A little fear gets the blood pumping faster.
Yeah, he's a vampire.
Yep. This is why you're not allowed to make lots of extra vampires. You just can't have people getting killed all over the place in a small town in northern Colorado.
What?
He tightened his grip. As his expression changed to something tinged with malice, a cruel smile slowly spread across his face. She opened her mouth to scream. Ooh, nice new sprite. Slapping his freezing hand over her mouth, her scream turned into a muffled squeak. Dragging her through the shadows, he threw her down to the ground. She couldn't see him well, but she felt him puncture her neck.
Sounds like a bite being taken out of an apple. I'm not...
Hey. She's got it. Blood dripped on her chest. German songs. Kendra panicked. Pushing from it, she tried to run away. He shot out his arm, grabbing her wrist and pulling her towards him. Weakened, she slumped as he began to suck her neck.
Do you recognize me, little mouse? A bird told us that you were spilling secrets about the skulls. I don't mind people having fun in our club, but what happens there stays there.
The young woman froze in disbelief. Her hope quickly fizzled, from hope to shock, then resignation. The co-ed knew she wouldn't survive. Hello, Fleetwood Flack. Head bonk him. Yeah, I'm there. She's not a new vampire. She's a late night snack. Also, what does every bad guy call one little bird? Is that part of the handbook they give out when you turn? I think so.
Probably.
Yeah, I think so. Also, I'm gonna note, snitches get stitches. Or, like, scritches? Head scritches? Also, I just feel like she wouldn't call herself a co-ed. You also call her mouse, yeah. Skulls. The person had a skull on his shelf. Yes. This is you.
All right. Sweat pooled on Mark's brow as he changed out of his drenched judo robes. His legs were starting to cramp and Mark was ready for a break. While he wasn't on the team, he enjoyed working out with the group.
You're not on the team, Mark?
But he does judo.
Yeah, he also has, there are 2 beds in here, which means he has a roommate, maybe?
Yep. What a note on the pillow.
Mm-hmm.
However, his day wasn't done. A stack of term papers was waiting to be graded back in his room.
500 of them? Really, like, so I got some questions about their labor ethics here. Hiring an undergraduate to grade term papers for a 500-person class and also lead a discussion section.
He planned to start them after a power nap. Reaching for his dorm room doorknob, Mark's hand pulled away, covered in a sticky, gooey mess.
Okay.
Cringing, he sniffed his fingers. Hair paste. That could have been work. He rates the Mohawk guy.
Oh.
He checked the door across the hall. The same.
Somebody's putting hair paste everywhere.
A pair of twins, which shared the room next door to Mark, had a knack for being pranksters. They would tie doorknobs together, set water balloon traps in the restrooms, plaster the halls with faces of friends on the bodies of female models.
Who are these people?
Sir Ignatius Dorm would place them on cleanup duty for any pranks, but that didn't stop the brothers.
How old are these people?
Mark wondered what they were doing. It was weird he didn't see them for a few days, if anything. It was a miracle that he could avoid them at all, but he still considered them his friends. Mark makes questionable life choices.
Mark does make questionable life choices, and I'm going to just point out something. That's not on us. That's on him. We're just piloting Mark, but, like, before we even got here, Mark clearly made questionable life choices.
Yep. Night passed, and Mark stayed awake grading papers. Raccoon circles colored his lower eyelids. He needed to sleep. No, he had to stay awake.
You know, this might be a, Mark. Ice Bunny's like 18, mental age 13. It's kind of like he got serious with them too fast as well.
He listened to the noise of the hallway. Mark's dorm, St. Ignatius, was crowded. Dorm life was busy. An all-guy dorm in the middle of the private Catholic St. George's University.
I have more questions.
The rules inside were as strict as a monastery. Not based on that bedroom. No women, no drinks allowed, but the dorm members still managed to have some fun in between studying. Whoever actually did study.
I'm going to note that I think this university is expensive. And I think that the people who go here tend to have money.
Yep.
Is what I think. Those are my feelings.
I mean, look at his dual monitor setup in the year 2000.
Right? This is what I'm saying. Well, we've got a dual monitor setup. That bed right there looks like some kind of a custom bed, the one on the right. This looks like pretty nice. Either they added stuff themselves, like, okay, that bookshelf, that white bookshelf in the back, that totally feels like a thing you'd have in a dorm room. The bed on the left seems like a thing you'd have in a dorm room. The bed on the right seems custom. The dresser drawer in the back.
But look, you got a beanbag chair. Those things weren't cheap.
Yeah, this is all I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah. A calculus-caused nervous breakdown had forced Mark's former neat freak roommate to move out 3 weeks ago.
Oh.
He left the note saying, "I can't do this shit anymore." Like Buddy on his empty bed pillow, which Mark left there apparently for 3 weeks.
Because Mark is the master of the French tuck, so, like,
This left Mark as the only guy on his floor to have his own room. At first, he thought it'd be great to have a dorm for himself, peace and quiet. Yeah, right. His neighbors made up for his lack of a roomie. No word from them still, Mark thought to himself. He had stopped by the resident assistant's office and asked where his neighbors were. All getting eaten. 3 days had passed since Kyle and his twin brother Nate, the twin kings of trouble, had come home. Mark welcomed the peace, but quiet wasn't always a good sign.
So here's the thing. If you're worried about them, you talk to the RA talks to the people, and, like, they go check it out. You should be fine. I mean, they're still
He's obviously not that worried.
Yeah, he's not that worried. Also, how many people are killed by these vampires? And if they're all just turned into like, okay, I've got questions.
The red digital lights of his alarm clock showed it was early morning when Mark finally finished grading. His head nodded as his eyelids drooped. Finally, he closed his eyes and let sleep take him away to dreams of Jody.
Jody.
Ugh. A body slammed against the other side of his wall, followed by cussing, shouting, and stomping.
Uh-oh. Oh.
His neighbors, Nate and Kyle, were home. Mark kicked the 1950s style concrete wall that separated the rooms.
Oh, that's interesting. Because the main building is clearly, like, from the last century or whatever, so they clearly had some expansion.
Glad you jerks are back, but I need to sleep!
But they're getting eaten. Kyle's voice hollered back.
Call back.
Sorry, Mark.
The apology didn't last long. Kyle started singing, off tune, probably to annoy Nate.
Is he sure he's not in love with Jody? Oh, I think that he's totally in love with Jody, who I think he's only spoken to like once or twice in his life. Because we need to give him advice, but it's going to be too late for him. I'm so sorry. I really wish I could advise him on some things, but...
The twins were always bickering. Mark figured it was because the brothers were so close. Despite their butting heads, they insisted on living together. Mark once asked Kyle why, and Kyle answered, because I don't want to learn another person's habits. The two of them reminded Mark of a grumpy old couple.
Didn't Jody Fluter say bye, Mark, when she left? She did. She did. I just have a lot of questions.
Mark sighed and tried to slink to his bed. His alarm radio snapped on. So much for any rest. A news report of a murdered student came on the campus station. Mark turned to the volume monitor. No way, he muttered to himself as he heard the grisly details of the woman's death.
Okay, I have to say this. If there were a grisly murder of a student on campus, that would be a problem. And I'm not talking about because of the police, because the university would be like, oh no, parents will not send their children to our campus if students get murdered often.
Yeah.
That they would do something. They'd be like, Professor Mickelson, we understand that you're like our local vampire professor. Gotta work on this one because like no one's gonna come here.
The murderer had not been caught.
Miss Mike says, yeah, job interview instead of a date. His relationship is effed.
Mark dragged himself to the sink and washed his face. He hoped that Jody was watching out for herself. This had not been the first murder on campus. The last one was a few months ago. That sorority girl's body was badly slashed. Werewolves.
I'm just saying, this is bad for campus recruitment.
Mm-hmm. Sliding on his Levi's, Mark half-buttoned a collared shirt, gave a few random brushes to his hair, and quickly gargled. Mark, if you don't take care of yourself, women are not going to be interested in you.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. Look, there's a difference.
Jody looked like she took care of herself.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I think she had hair mud in. Like, she had a whole thing going on.
Yeah.
You've got to learn the difference between spending an hour and a half to look like you've not spent any time and effort and also just not brushing your hair. Like, those are, like, really different things.
Yep. He stuffed the graded essays into his duffel bag and slammed the door to his empty room.
Casual talk of dead students. Yeah, I'm totally applying to this school. Those leaves are definitely silver tabs. The loud bang finally made Nate and Kyle stop arguing. The twins were waiting for him on the other side of the door. Kyle grinned as he stepped in front of Mark, blocking his escape. Kyle stepped inside Mark's room, a grumpy Nate on his heels, and they murdered him. No. Uh-huh.
You mad, Mark?
Uh-huh. He stood at Mark's pale face, etched with deep, dark circles.
What do you think? You're still doing this stuff before morning. Remember Monday when you stole all the toilet paper from the restrooms? We had none all week because you also TP'd the head RA's office.
And Kyle looks like Ryuji from P5.
But you weren't here this week, so I guess you didn't know that.
Or what about last month? That stink bomb in the air vent was pretty good.
And extra smelly.
Oh, they had the same skull necklaces about their vampires.
Hey, but also let's note that Kyle has frosted tips, but they're green.
It was awful. It was in my nostrils and my clothes. No wonder Jody stayed away. Where have you been? It's been 3 days since you both called anyone. We were worried.
Mark.
Never mind. I haven't slept.
I feel like...
I swear, if Jody refuses to go out with me because I look like a zombie, I'll come back here and eat your brains!
Nice voice actor.
Don't bother. Kyle doesn't have any.
Nice. Emo Nate. Nate chuckled and Kyle gave him a quick punch in the arm. Nate shuffled. There were red punctures on his wrist.
That doesn't seem like any of Mark's business.
I agree. I also feel like I'm digging their theme music too, Baltiel. So here's what I'm thinking, right? I'm thinking Mark is, in terms of, let's say, Dungeons and Dragons, low on wisdom and perception.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Low wisdom, low perception, yeah.
Yeah.
He dump statted wisdom.
He dump statted.
That's his 8. Yeah.
I feel like he dump statted a number of stats, but that's a whole other question altogether.
The RA said you've been asking where we were. Are you worried about us? Don't be. We're just having some fun.
Scabby, he's graduating this year, which means he's 21, 22 years old. He might be 22, actually. Had to save the int for all those languages. Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Vidra says, check your player stat. Oh, hey, okay, hold on. We've got player stats.
So what were you up to?
No, I don't want to know. So what is this? This is, what do we got? Ooh, conversation
That's
history.
the conversation history.
Nice, nice. This
I bet
is
it's
probably saving. Oh, let's save while we're here.
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just save while we're here. That's loading. Looks like a nice screen. What is this? Okay, status alliance. Enforcer. He's got some enforcers. Goodness.
Interesting.
Here. House of Skulls. Nada. Humanity. Nada. His relationship status with Jody the twins, Johnny and Ricky.
Oh.
Other status. Bloodlust.
Oh, hey.
Okay, well then. Okay. That's a little ominous. This is probably our options in the spec menu. Okay.
Nate and I thought you were too busy with graduation. You're working for that hard ass, right?
Somehow his wisdom is a negative number. Yeah, so he's probably 22 is what I would say.
Yeah, I still work for Professor Mickelson.
I wonder how many people know about Professor Mickelson being a huge master vampire. Ooh.
Probably not.
Okay. Oh.
He might admire
Yeah.
Mr. Mickelson a bit. Yeah.
I agree. I think he's got.
Otherwise, why would he still be a TA for him? Grading 500 papers. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, this is clearly an unhealthy relationship. He's like, oh my gosh, Professor Mickelson, he's so great.
Oh, Professor Mickelson, you're so great.
Yes, I will.
You're better than Jody.
I admire him.
Do you? Yeah.
Did you hear about the murder last night?
Yeah. Kyle and Nate give each other a nervous glance.
No. What did you hear?
I like the voice actor for Nate, and I kind of just like Nate. He's got that kind of chill, emo vibe.
Yeah.
Let's hope they're caught. Do they have any leads?
I feel like Kyle skateboards.
Another girl was
Kyle
slashed.
definitely skateboards.
Police are wondering
or
if we have a serial
longboards.
killer.
Yeah. Nate shivered.
Let's get out of here. We all need a change. I know. Let's go on a road trip during spring break. Get away from cranky professors and all this death talk.
Do you think they're actually really good friends? They want a road trip with him, but I just feel like...
Yeah, Mark makes poor life choices, yes. Why do you think he's being groomed by the professor?
Right? But also, like, I don't mean to say this, but Mark doesn't look cool. And Kyle and
No.
Nate look like cool scenesters. Why do they want
Yeah.
Mark to come along with them?
Sounds like a plan. I'll be off then.
Yeah, I have nothing better to do with my life anyway.
That was Nate's version of an enthusiastic yes. By the way, I do like the collar, right? Very, very 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Nice transition. Ooh, hey, a diner. I love a diner.
Ooh. So he's out to lunch with these two? Who is he out to lunch with?
I feel like he's supposed to have lunch with Jody, right? At the diner. Yes.
I guess. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I feel like this is Jody. Dinner with Jody at the diner, so lunch. So what do we think here? Because we have to balance
He
two
seems
things.
like the kind of guy
Yes.
who would split the cost of lunch.
Yes. So, because he's not wearing a fedora. What?
No.
I also figure like he probably is making some money being a TA. At least I hope he does.
Yeah.
And it's not just credit.
So I think he's planning to split the cost of lunch. Yeah.
Yes. Trooper, you have to come visit so we can go to the diner. Okay. Yes. Oh, Lysander, Mark is making really bad life choices. Is what I'm trying to tell you. This is you.
Dive's pub was dingy. Its tables wobbled whenever the customers leaned on them. Raising their voices, the people spoke loud to be heard over rock blaring from bulky retro speakers. Oh, how much you want to bet he runs into Ricky here? This
I
retro
thought Ricky
50s
was
diner?
leaving, though.
He left from where Damien was. We don't know if that was Colorado.
That's fair. That's true. We don't know that, do we?
We don't know. The place made the best hamburgers in town, and the challenge for their juicy beef burgers was the long wait in their customer. And the challenge for their juicy beef burgers was the long wait in their customer line. Okay. The place was also known for their milkshakes.
Ooh.
The thick shakes were made with the richest ice cream and served with the way they were meant to be served. Filled in a glass with the refill delivered on the side in its metal mixing cup.
Look, I have to tell you, I love that. Like, I love a place when you can go to a diner and get like an actual milkshake just like that. That is my joy in my life. I just needed you to know that. Do you like milkshakes?
I don't love them, but I like them.
But, Lindy.
Yes.
Do your milkshakes bring all the vampires to the yard?
Oh, I wish.
Oh, come on. Mark.
Yeah, this is the date.
Yeah, this is the date.
He was staring at her sweater earlier.
Yeah, he seems to stare, doesn't he? Yeah.
I think he stares at her blouse.
Yeah. Wait, not a diner challenge? Like the massive practical size, joke size food item that gets...
See, that's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
That's why it read so weird. Yeah.
No, we're not going to choose milkshake because Mark is a bunch of a mess.
Look, he specifically said he was staring at her sweater earlier, so I think
True.
he would stare at her blouse. He seems like a
Hey,
starey Larry.
Watch yourself.
Yeah. Look, that was Mark. That was Mark. That was not us.
Yeah,
Mark
that was Mark.
Yeah.
Gosh. Oh, he's definitely tries to impress her. You know he's not asking about her. He's all knights always slay the dragon. He's definitely gonna try to impress her. You know this.
Yeah, and it's gonna be bad.
Mhm.
Are we making bad choices for Mark? No. Mark has a low wisdom stat and he's making those choices for himself.
Mark makes bad choices. He doesn't need our help.
Yes, that is correct.
As Mark talked about his grades, his dreams, his visions for the future, Jody smiled politely. Her eyes started to shine. Looking at the counter, the wall, and eventually she gave a small yawn.
Of course, like, you hate Mark, don't you? No, it's just that Mark sometimes makes poor choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how are you holding up?
Look, here's the thing, Skippy-Dack. Mark has
And now
not
he's going to
taken...
bring up the murder.
Oh, I know he's going to bring up the murder, too. Mark has not taken any
See, we didn't
lessons
make
from...
him bring up the murder. He's doing this by himself.
Yeah.
We're just going with his line of thinking.
Yeah. Mark has not yet taken advice from pickup artists. You know.
She shivered.
I'm not sure. I didn't know her, but it all happened so close to us. It could have happened to anyone.
Mark makes Kader and Yanta level choices.
Reaching out, Mark held Jody's hand. Jody took a deep breath.
No, I won't be scared.
Yeah, asking questions on Denny's pickup artist advice. I think, like, I'm not real well versed in the realm of pickup artistry. It's probably like ask them questions, but then also insult them. Like, you know, there's like a lot of weird, yeah.
No, you shouldn't be.
He'd hit the shit out of anyone who laid a hand on her, but he kept his thoughts to himself. Sure you would, Mark.
Mark, this
sure
is your
you
first
would.
date. This is your first. You know what, Mark? We need to talk to you about, like, we need to give you some dating advice.
Is that why
Life
you wanted
advice?
to meet sooner? Because you're worried about me?
Yes, that's why. Not because I have a nerdy job offer.
I'm familiar with the concept of negging boundaries.
She graced him with the most beautiful smile. Mark's heart jumped.
You know, Mark, do you know anything about her? Like, at all?
No.
Yes, but I also can't make this Friday. Professor Mickelson set up an interview with the Society of the Arts.
Will he ever be able to afford a pickup artist class fees? He has to pay back the school he's at now.
What does this art thing have to do with you? You gave up sketching.
How does she know?
Mark suddenly wished he did talk about himself a lot. So.
That's true. She probably knows a lot
Mark
about
suddenly
him.
wished he was more naturally artistic. He stared at her long blonde hair, the curve of her face, and pushed away a distracting thought of what it would be like to have Jody as his model.
Mark!
See? He makes these choices all on his own.
Yeah, that was not us. That was him. I'm worried about her and her canister of black pepper mace. See, I feel like she's got a canister of black pepper mace. She'll be fine.
He cleared his throat.
The Society considers language and art. They've been looking for a translator for art deals. If they like me, I get a job with them. Or at least I'm hoping that happens when I meet them Friday.
Vietor was like, she does. And I was like, good. She seems like she's got a good head on her shoulders. Do you know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
What is she doing
Ugh,
being interested in a
now
guy like
you
Mark?
reminded me. I've been so focused on finishing up our semester, I haven't made a resume yet. I need to start looking for a job too.
To cut Mark a tiny bit of slack, he didn't sleep last night. That's true. But like,
That is true.
I'm looking for a really nice character arc where he starts off being ridiculous, and then maybe he grows up and he learns some responsibility.
I want him to be a hot dumpster fire. A to Z. Let's go.
You'll do great, Mark. I hope you get it.
She is very supportive and nice to this guy.
Mark placed his hand on her wrist. He had been waiting for this moment, a chance to be close to her. He wasn't going to let her go with only a light peck.
Mark. Lindy, I appreciate that you and I are like, Mark, come on now.
Mark, please.
Side note,
Dude.
I love that the letters that say Burgers Malts really have a really good 3D sense that you can really tell that they are like...
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Mhm.
I really like that. Mark desperately needs some advice about how not to behave on a date. Just saying it. Oh my gosh. Mark. Iceman says the humanities run on coffee and all the other caffeinated drinks. Yeah. Missile Monkey's like, not an excuse. I average 5 hours a night during the week. He also misspelled week, Missile Monkey. That's the 5 hours speaking. Okay. I would posit that Mark is not going to actually kiss her. I just feel like... Yeah.
I don't know. Because he said he wasn't going to let her get away with only a tiny peck.
But do you think he's that bold?
He squelched mud through all of that beautiful hardwood flooring.
He did, but because I think he's incompetent.
With incompetence comes boldness.
Wait, VTuber's like, whoa, I think this is a coding error. None of the playtesters let Mark have such a bad date. I'll check with my team. It wasn't us, it's Mark. Mark is the one who's doing very terrible things.
Look.
Iceman's like, I want to see him get slapped. Okay, so what kind of bad choice? Does he stare at her deeply like a creeper?
Look, he already stared at her earlier. I think he's gotten an eyeful, now he wants a mouthful.
So can we go with just kiss her? Because I feel like he's not bold up to deep kiss her.
Yeah, I would go for that compromise.
Yes.
Because it's not a tiny peck, it's a full kiss.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I want to see him get slapped because he just full on deep smooches. See, he's so incompetent and he's bold enough to think his plan is working. So
That's fair.
That's how I feel.
Hawkeye,
yeah.
Hawkeye, that is fair. Girl's like, stop blaming Mark for your bad choices.
I personally would make different choices. We're playing Mark.
Yeah. I would also make different choices. Like a whole bunch of them. So he's gonna kiss her. He took a deep breath, leaned across the table, and gently kissed her lips. Did you even ask? Wow.
Oh, well, I kissed. They smooched. Their waitress walked behind the bar and lightly cleared her throat.
Oh, can I just say for the record, I really do love silhouette art.
I do too.
Because it reminds me of those like Victorian. Did you have to do that in school?
No.
We had to like there's like a thing we did.
No.
In, like,
a cameo.
Yeah, little cameo.
No.
Thank you. Yeah.
I didn't. It would have been difficult since I was the only student.
Fair.
Yeah.
And they used 2 straws in the same glass, so romantic. I was like, you guys think Jodie is less into him than she is? No, I think she's into him, but I'm concerned about her life choices.
Yes. Like, she seems like she has a good head on her shoulders, but, we all know that person who had a really good, head on their shoulders, and then they met that one guy, and then their life kind of just went downhill after that.
Also, he could still have asked. He's somewhat presumptuous.
He has your lunch. That's her voice now. He has your lunch. She set the plates before them, and Jodie glanced at Mark and blushed. Mark muttered thanks. After she left out of earshot, Mark and Jodie began talking about their plans for spring break.
I just want to say that your cat is adorable. Just.
Oh, she's hungry. It is definitely dinner time, so when we get to a stopping point, I should probably go feed the hungry beasties.
Sure. No, I've never known that person. Well, we have to find out what happens here, and then
yes,
we
we do.
Then I'll give away you to break.
I'm going home to Utah.
Oh.
Mark thought of an empty, cold house waiting for his return.
Ah, interesting. He has no.
I thought he was going on a road trip. Please, come on, Mark.
Good on someone's shoulders doesn't matter when it's removed from them.
I'm not going home.
That is true.
Really, Mark? Do you want to talk about your daddy issues again?
I like how he says it like, I'm not going
home.
Her,
isn't it?
Who is her? Her sympathetic glance passed over him. Despite the anger he usually felt when others gave him that look, Mark was touched that she remembered. She was compassionate, creative, and strong.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. Mark.
He always remembered that about her ever since he met her in his first art class, drawing 1305. She was working on a brightly colored modern work.
Okay. If they knew each other before this class, that's a little different. It's not as inappropriate if they have a pre-existing friendship.
When he peeked over her shoulder to see what she colored with pastels, she turned to face him and didn't even bother to rub away her blue chalk-smudged cheeks as she gave him the brightest smile he'd ever seen.
Hey, how we roll. Thank you, we are 2 of the best nerds out there. So, the thing is, I still don't think if he's asking her out for the first time, which it seems like it was, he should not have done that when he was her TA. That's all I'm saying.
That was the first day his crush started. Now he was finally dating his friend.
Yeah, but the thing is, this was still the very first time he asked her out on a date, and he should not do that when he's her TA. That's all I'm saying.
Jodie's eyes glistened. She knew about Mark's complicated family. He didn't usually share. He could barely say it. He and his father stopped speaking.
Daddy issues.
Took vows of silence. Yeah, I'm fine.
Team wants to see stats again. Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, stats. Hey, some humanity. More enforcer, though. Interesting.
Oh, interesting. I wonder how we're getting on this enforcer.
It's a good question. No Jodie stats, by the way.
No Jodie.
Do you need to pay for auditing classes? If you are a student at a university, auditing usually doesn't mean anything at all besides you just sit in the classroom. Like, usually it's not even an official thing. You just like say, hey, I'm allowed to sit in your classroom, and you say yes. There are sort of options for auditing if you're like not actually enrolled in that university, which you usually do have to pay for. But I don't know why you would just audit a class if you could just take it for credit, because you don't get any credit and you don't get a grade. I will say, for the record, I often have students who want to audit my classes. Seminars, no. Lecture classes, I said you can, but in my experience, if somebody's auditing the class, which means they're not getting credit for it, and they don't do any of the work, they often just stop coming once their classes get busy, right? Like, it's kind of like a...
Mark had nothing to do with this old man who could forget his mother. Few people outside of the family knew about the quick remarriage. Only Jody, the twins, and Professor Mickelson knew.
Sometimes you want to learn a thing without worrying about grades. But the thing is, in my experience, when people audit, they actually don't learn the thing because there's no accountability, so they actually just kind of walk out after the first week or two.
Maybe they want to see how the professor is before taking a class with him.
Possibly. Yeah. The thing is, most of the time the students are just overcommitted. That's what it is. It's like there's just other things.
That happens, yeah.
And they're like, oh, right. And then they're like, oh man, I wish I would have. I was like, yeah, I know. But let's see.
He'd rather be stuck at St. George's University. He'd rather be stranded in Antarctica than see the perdition of his father with another woman.
Kind of judgy, Mark. Is the other woman a vampire?
Staying at the college was no burden at all. Mickelson saw that Mark always had plenty of work to do. But he did.
Is it appropriate?
I think Kyle and Nate will stay on campus. I might stay here and hang out with them instead.
Don't like it.
He made peace with his father, but there's only so much he could take. His father's younger wife flirtatiously teasing him was not one of those things.
Who is this woman?
I don't blame you, Mark. It's just so sad. But I'm glad you won't be alone. Call me, okay?
Oh.
Ooh. Ooh.
Oh.
I think he assumes she had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Why would he? Yeah, they kissed,
Yeah.
and the milkshake was drank, and there's 2 straws. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He's just gonna be like, so we
I
want to
really
go on
enjoyed
another one?
today. What do you think? Would you like to go on another date?
So wait, he met her in his freshman year, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And he got a crush on her his freshman year, and it's his senior year, second semester, and this is the first time he's asking her out on a date.
Mm-hmm.
Mark.
Yep. Ooh. Yeah, this seems like something that would happen to Mark.
Jody shrugged.
Although he'd kept it a secret from Jody, Mark also planned to go to a sorority party and play hard. It was his last semester in college, after all.
Mark?
Look, this is good decisions, Mark here.
Good decisions, Mark. Ooh, I love this alley. Okay. Here's what's what. Somebody who's not me is going to go feed their cat.
Yeah, cats.
Cats.
2 wee vicious beasties.
Jellicle cats. Jellicle cats. Memories. And while that is happening, I'm going to talk to the peoples and do a giveaway.
Please do.
Yes. At least Mark has been consistent. Is the second date a sorority party? Now we have LJ Gibbs head slap moment. So just say something in chat for the next 5 minutes, and then you'll be entered into our giveaway. Colonel, this is my judgy face. I just want you to know I'm judging you hard as you're judging Mark.
Good.
Look, Mark is...
I'm just spitting facts, assumptions.
I'm going to say this. If Mark were wiser, he probably would not be the protagonist of this game, because he's going to get turned into a vampire. Do you know what I mean? He is going to get turned into a vampire because he's not seeing the obvious red flags that his professor is perhaps questionable and inappropriate. That's all I'm saying. Shut away. He's he's gonna go to a sorority party and party hard. Hey, speaking of sorority parties, also says Rissa, how late are you streaming tonight? Because current time is 8:31. For you, probably like 9:30 is probably how late we're going about. Lysander says, I've not played many visual novels with multiple POVs. Ooh, I do like a good visual novel with multiple POVs. I've not played a visual novel on my channel in a while, but I'm so glad we got to use the visual novel Backseat Drive-In Theater tag yet again, because, it is so lovely. And, oh, you know what, how we roll? I feel like I should have a lurk command. As long as the purpose is not having his vampire teeth hang out, Mark will not get it. That's probably also true. That was Ice Bunny. Missile Monkey says, if Mark were wiser, this game would be really, really boring. College students making good decisions. Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Sometimes, and I feel like some people, Lindy might agree, if you're playing a camp counselor in a Friday the 13th RPG, sometimes you make some poor choices, Yes. It's nice that it's set at college instead of high school. Lysander, I agree. So many visual novels are set in high schools, which can get old. All right, so I'm gonna do the giveaway. What we have, and I want to thank VTuber for this. VTuber has given us a Steam code so that you can have a copy of your own Some of Twice Reborn. There are multiple routes, so there's a lot of replayability, and I'm excited to find out that's a thing about a really good visual novel. It has a lot of really interesting choices you can make. There are over 30 possible endings to this game, which is very impressive. I will say that's very impressive.
Over how many possible endings?
30.
That's a lot of possible endings.
Over 95,000 words.
I feel like we're getting from Mark the Dumbass ending. I'm just being honest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I'm hoping that Mark will grow and learn and not be a patsy to vampires. That's all.
You're such a hopeful individual, aren't you?
I am.
I'm hoping that Jody gets a wiser human boyfriend, and that he gets a dom vampire girlfriend.
Ooh, that would be nice.
I feel like he needs a dom.
Yeah, I agree. Yes. Praxis Trooper, are you planning to make good choices in Redacted? Well, I don't know until I get there.
What? 50% of people die in the first 30 minutes?
Really? Okay, first off, I'm very excited about how but you know what though? Sometimes characters who have low wisdom scores just never die.
That is true.
Yeah, it is true. So if you're playing a counselor at a Friday the 13th RPG, keep the folder of future characters handy. I'm going to go and, by the way, who is our winner? Who is our winner for our giveaway? Nightbot? Who is it? How we roll! Hey! How we roll. I have a Steam code for you so that you can play this game as well. And I'm going to whisper it to you right now. Right now. Congratulations. All that is asked is that you, leave a review on the Steam. How we roll. How we roll. Let me whisper this to you. Okay. How I roll, I've sent it to you. But you know what that means. We're in an alleyway. Hey, hello, bearded trash panda. How are you? We're going to have to find out what happens here because I'm concerned. Is this you or me? This is me, isn't it? Yes? Yeah. Exiting Dive's pub, Mark walked Jody home, passing by the various thrift stores, grungy shops, and odd curiosities which filled the eclectic line of businesses near the campus. This is that kind of campus, right? It's like a small town that, has, a whole bunch of stuff that's aimed at college students. Odd mixed smells from the city wafted from the alleyways. Mark's nose scrunched. He hated passing by this area. No one ever cleaned the streets. Where is Mark from? Oh. An elderly homeless man sat on the smudged sidewalk outside of the pub. Okay,
Maybe he's a vampire hunter.
Maybe. I just want to note for the record that Mark was like, I hate passing by here because I don't like the smell of it. I'm just going to just note that about him.
Mm-hmm.
He listlessly stretched his legs out across the ground with his tattered brown trench coat tucked under him and an open...
Ooh, see, trench coats, classic vampire hunter attire. That's all I'm saying.
And an open, worn briefcase beside him. Buzzing flies floated nearby the still figure before zipping away. Ooh, could be a mage. Okay. Give him money.
I don't think Mark's the type to insult him.
No, absolutely not. I don't think Mark is aggressive enough. I think Mark thinks a big thought in his mind, thinks a big game, but I don't think so.
Yeah. Especially since he got his confidence crushed a little bit.
Oh, because Jody's like, I don't know, we'll see.
I don't know if I want another date.
But he did have a good kiss.
He did have a good kiss. Maybe he'll give him some money because he did get he at least did get a smooch.
Yeah,
like his love life is very dry.
Right, and also he's gonna maybe get a big job full of lots of money.
That is true, and they did go Dutch on the date.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Isn't she still with him? Ooh, if she's still with him.
That would make him look good.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely give him money. Absolutely.
Yep.
Reaching out, Mark gave the man a $20 bill. Whoa, Mark. Okay.
Yeah, look, big spender here. Well, he just go to that college.
Snatching Mark's wrist, the man stared at Mark's face. Mark shivered, too afraid to make a move in front of the unstable man. See what I said about Mark talking a big talk in his mind, but... He shook his head and pushed Mark's hand and the money away. He returned to his still cross-legged position.
But he's waiting for vampires.
Or people who are attached to vampires. Only he knew what he was waiting
for.
The
vampire sympathizers?
Yeah, the vampire sympathizers. Mark,
vampire allies.
Vampire allies.
Yes.
Mark slowly backed away, Jody close behind him. The buzzing noise became louder. Maybe he is a mage. A fly drifted near the beggar's face. Patiently, he waited, but the fly wouldn't leave. Suddenly, he shot his hand out and caught the fly midair. With a glazed smile, he let the fly go.
He didn't do it with 2 chopsticks, though. He's not...
So he's not like a master vampire hunter, just like a medium vampire hunter, maybe also a mage. Yeah. That was enough for Mark. He didn't want to stay on the reeking street any longer. Mark grabbed Jody's arm and whispered,
"Let's get out of here."
They quickly left the street and walked towards St. George's. The graffiti on the wall said, "Get out of here." Just gonna note it. Do you need to get bitten in the neck and not the wrist? I think that they're like giving blood freely to vampires by letting vampires drink up.
I think so too.
Yeah. This is you.
The weight of his papers in his satchel reminded him that he should stop by the professor's office before he went back to his own dorm.
A blade smoker, who does beautiful artwork, by the way, said catching flies sounds more Renfield to me. Noting it.
Walking across St. George's campus, Jody and Mark neared St. George's Amphitheater. The large outdoor theater sat in a naturally occurring hill and almost blended into the campus landscape. Yeah, that blends in so well, let me tell ya.
I'm going to tell you what, though. This campus has money.
Yep. Next to it was an on-campus coffee house. It was a St. George's tradition to buy hot drinks, then bring them to the amphitheater. Because that brings in more money, you know.
Yeah, it does. At least their tradition is not to, like, get super drunk before you go to the amphitheater. Like...
Yeah. So students, of course, lined up outside of the nearby coffee house to buy its famous mochas, warming themselves as the night turned chilly.
With death?
Probably. There are murders on this campus.
Mark, let's get some coffee and catch the rest of the show.
A steaming drink in his hands sounded nice. The lack of sleep from the night before seemed to start to catch up with him. He needed that coffee.
He did. It's like, yeah, he's like date number 2 already.
Maybe they could spare a few minutes. St. George's outdoor shows tended to be short anyways. He wanted to be with Jody, so he fought his heavy eyelids. As far as the essays were concerned, he was ahead and the professor could wait.
Also, why would you deliver the essays to the professor in the middle of the night?
I'm sure he works late every night.
But I mean, he's a normal human being and not a vampire, so wouldn't he be at home?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
Totally. Yeah. Mark texted the professor where he was, and the professor surprised him by responding, "I'll be in my office. Meet me afterwards."
I have some questions about that.
How long did the professor work? The man never seems to sleep.
Okay.
I bet it's because he does it after his morning class in the day. I bet he does morning and evening classes, so he can sleep all day.
Yeah. But wasn't his last meeting with the professor at night? No, I think he actually after class. It was in the morning.
Because he had an early morning class because he had like a 10 a.m. class with the brother or whatever.
Yeah. I'm just gonna note for the record, I can't talk too much because I'm not in my office that late unless students are there, in which case I am. But I'm not there in my office on purpose. It's because students come in and talk to me. But I am working late, just not in my office.
Yep. On the platform below, stagehands dressed in full black quickly changed the key props on the set. A familiar voice spoke. A few rows behind Mark, Kyle sat with his twin brother Nate.
I wonder what the art scene is like on this campus.
Look, they're about to start again.
Oh.
Good. Now we can finally see something interesting. I'm getting tired of watching all these couples making out. It's so annoying.
Nate, I love how annoyed you are with everything.
He rolled his eyes. Mark wondered if Nate was grumpy because he never had a girlfriend. The guy needed to get over his shyness with women.
Maybe that's not what's going on.
Maybe he's got a vampire girlfriend, he just can't talk about it, okay?
Or boyfriend.
Yeah, or boyfriend. Mark waved hello, then looked around. Wow, perception check. Nate was right. There was a lot of public kissing. Maybe Mark should join. I don't know.
Mark was doing public kissing a little bit. Mark's a little judgy.
Yeah.
But Krellin thinks that we judge Mark. And so then Krellin's judging us for judging Mark, but I think Mark is judgy.
But Mark's judgy. We're just playing Mark.
Yeah.
Judgy Mark. One student was lip-locking. Wait, that geek? The lucky bastard was an engineering major from his dorm. Mark needed a page from his playbook.
Mark!
A throat cleared to his side. Whoops! Jody snagged Mark's attention away from the couple by grabbing his hand.
Oh, maybe this is make-out theater.
Make-out theater! Yeah. He smiled at her and Jody returned with a grin.
Oh, that's nice.
The audience applauded as a thin actor walked out on the amphitheater floor. Raising his arms and then slowly lowering them, he quieted the audience before addressing them in a commanding voice.
Hawkeye's like, Mark just needs a playbook, period.
Thank you all for coming, and welcome to our annual Classics Under the Stars. Let's introduce our actors. Our second performance tonight will be The Picture of Dorian Gray.
I have a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the second performance? Are these like abridged versions?
You know? Or maybe they've been going all day. It just never stops. They sell coffee all the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Applause rose from the audience. Mark Delaware knew the story well. Dorian Gray seeks immortal beauty and youth by cursing himself. While Dorian Gray remains youthful, his painted portrait reflects the sin and depravity of his aging life. As the actor played out the changes of Dorian Gray, Mark became fascinated. He imagined everything he could do if he lived a timeless life.
Oh, Mark.
What could he do with that gift of time? These thoughts floated across his mind. The freedom of eternal youth. The gift of being able to study however he wanted for as long as you wished. If he was immortal, he thought he wouldn't fall like Dorian Gray. He'd try to live a good life. Yes, a life that could continue on and on and on.
You know, but you don't usually get to live forever without...
Yeah, but don't worry. You get to talk with your professor after this.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll work something out. Suddenly, a bad vibe and a chill went down Mark's back with a shiver. He felt something dangerous was close, but couldn't understand it. Slowly, Mark turned around to see what was giving him the creeps.
Yeah. Was it Jody? Oh. It's the Lost Boys.
The twins invited a couple to sit next to them. They were followed by a pale man with bold green hair. Nate and Kyle acted as if they'd known these people, but his neighbors had never mentioned these friends before.
Yeah.
Mark didn't like the look of the couple. I liked the music, though.
Yeah.
Something about them wasn't right. It wasn't how they were dressed, but rather how they acted. Their dark-eyed, plain stares sharply grazed the crowd as they measured others.
So they've got good perception.
Mm-hmm.
Chris is like, bad decisions ahead.
Mm-hmm.
You wish you had a good life, and then life stares at you and kicks you in the nads.
Yep. The guy looked about 20. He wore thick eyeliner, a skull necklace around his neck, and was dressed full in black. His style stood out compared to the hipsters and the few students who didn't care that they wore sweatpants all day. He draped his arm around a thin, pale, beautiful woman wearing a gothic Lolita-style frilly dress.
Mm-hmm.
As he rocked her, he whispered in her ear. Her eyes twinkled as she smiled with closed lips at whatever he said. Nate rolled his eyes.
Oh, Nate.
The one with the green hair caught Mark staring. His face broke into a not-so-friendly smile.
You know, Mark is not subtle.
He's not. Despite the fact that Jody snuggled into him, Mark couldn't focus on the performance. The people behind him were creeping him out.
So what are you going to do about it, Mark? Are you going to judo them? Yeah, it's like Damien and Shinju.
I'm sorry. They laughed at the parts that weren't funny. They started heavily kissing and touching each other when Dorian Gray sold his soul on stage.
Okay, you two.
Ironically, the twins, who always have something to say about everyone, never said a word about their friends. Mark concluded he was judging them too harshly, probably overanalyzing. Yeah, Mark, that's totally you. Overanalyzing.
Yeah. No, they hang out with their... Oh, Mark. Mark.
He gave Jody another squeeze and she rewarded that with a sweet smile.
I don't think you should go on that road trip with your friends. Like, I
think you should totally go on that road trip with your friends.
It's gonna be a road trip to hell.
It's a place in Michigan.
It's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Damien stilled. Walking past the amphitheater was a man in a tweed suit and bow tie.
Oh. Val says, Mark is totally going to save the day by judo throwing a vampire later, and we're all going to be shocked. True.
As if he sensed being watched, Professor Mickelson turned and squinted eyes at Damien.
I want to know what the vampire politics are here.
A frown crossed his face and he walked away. My bet is that the professor is like the old school, classy, aristocratic, artsy vampires, and then Damien and Ricky are like the hip, young, rock and roll punk vampires, man. We just want anarchy and to turn whoever we want, whenever we want.
And they're not friends.
No, Damien whispered.
Shit, why is that killer here? Can't you look? Do you think he's onto us? Kyle, do you know that person?
Oh.
Did the professor kill Ricky? Or something?
Did the professor kill everyone? Is the professor like Jack the Ripper?
Yeah, he's Mark's faculty mentor.
Yeah, way to throw Mark under the bus,
He's
Kyle.
your neighbor, right? The one who's been asking too many questions?
Look, Mark's hardly asked any questions, if we've established anything about Mark.
Mark has not asked that many questions. Look, okay, so here's the thing, Damien. If you don't mind, I just have to just tell him this.
Yeah.
What Mark did was like, hey, did you hear there's a grisly murder on campus? That is not suspicious.
Where you guys been? I've been, like, concerned about you. Oh, I see bite marks on your wrist. I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna... That's prying. I'm not gonna pry.
I mean, I really feel like Damien needs, like, he's just asking questions that normal people would ask. So don't get stressed out. That's all. Missile Monkey, why do we have snacks for this road trip? Why don't we have snacks for this road trip? Oh yeah, we do. Curl, he's the old Soviet traditional vampire. He's the new trendy hip vampire. Together, they fight crime.
He's a cutie. Can we keep him?
Are you trying to make me jealous?
I don't like any of this.
Because it's working.
Oh, he's got fangs now.
It's all bad.
I need to find out what he knows. We can't reach him now.
He doesn't know anything. Have you met him?
He knows literally nothing.
Sounds like fun. I'm in.
Oh, his name's Shock.
Okay, look.
All right, Shock.
All he do is like, hey, friends, twins, you were like missing for 3 days. Are you cool? Also, do you hear there's a murder? That's it. Like, everybody says that. I imagine all sorts of people on campus were saying the same thing.
Yeah, probably.
What are you saying? You're not going to hurt him, are you? You couldn't control yourself a few days ago. If my brother's blood and mine aren't enough, find someone else. You have to stop killing runaways.
Kyle? That's pretty blasé. Do you want to... Okay.
Hey, they're standing up for their friend Mark, though.
Yeah, I just kind of feel like they should think about their life choices.
Have you looked at them?
Yeah, I know.
Do they look like the people? They're hanging out with vampires and like, yeah, you can. I'll be your blood bag, baby.
Yeah.
Like, do you think they make solid life choices?
No, I think many people in this game do not make solid life choices. I feel like there's a lot.
Jody has made the best life choices so far.
Yeah.
Until this date with Mark.
This is you. Go ahead.
Kyle glared at shock.
Don't worry, we won't kill your friend. But why is Mitchelson mentoring him? Find a way to bring... Mark, was it?
Oh, it's Mitchelson. Both of us are
wrong.
wrong.
Work with your brother if you have to.
Oh, Mitchelson. So, okay, so this is interesting. So now, the Thrall twins. Secret Professor Mitchelson is a Zemish. And, well, even Damon doesn't stand a chance. Krellin, going on a date with Mark is the only life choice John made to the start of the game. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. They're interested in Mark because he's being mentored by Mitchelson.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's some other thing going on. I have questions.
At the end of the play, Dorian Gray earned his justice for his actions. The immortality the character longed for was ruined by his guilt.
Feel less guilt.
Yeah, gosh, get good.
Get good.
Less guilty.
Less guilty. Hi, Simutha, eat that popcorn.
Marker grimaced at the character's fate. After a standing ovation, the students filed out as they scattered to their next destination.
So here's my question. Do you think that these plays that are being put on here all the time are a student club situation? Yes.
Probably.
Right?
Possibly. Yeah. Extra credit for theater students. Oh, Nate and Kyle offered to walk with Mark and Jody, so the group headed to their dorms.
Okay. Aren't you going to drop off your papers?
But the professor said to go to your office after the play.
Yeah.
Gosh. Mark. Nate, who loves anything dark and broody, broke his usual silence, raving about the actors. Mark waved goodbye to his friends and gave Jody one last kiss. She jumped a little. She was like, oh, a smooch.
Surprise smooch.
What? You're not coming back to the dorm. Are you going to judo practice?
In the middle of the night, yes.
Nah, Professor Mickelson's asked me to see him.
Okay, he says Mickelson.
Okay.
Mark, watch out for yourself. That professor's more than he seems.
Obviously. Oh.
I don't feel like he would say, like, how would you know? Because we've established that Mark doesn't ask a lot of questions.
He doesn't ask a lot of questions.
So he'll either say, okay, or all professors are eccentric bookworms. And I feel like he should lean towards all professors are eccentric bookworms.
Yeah. Yes.
That seems like a Mark response.
Yes. Also because Mark sometimes overshares, but things that are not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he is an oversharer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All professors are eccentric bookworms.
And they're like, this idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, okay. Oh. All right. The graded papers weighed down Mark's shoulders. He adjusted his shoulder strap. By the way, I'm glad that it mentioned that he was ahead, because I was like, you graded all those papers like right away? Like, were you behind or are you going early? You probably could have done it in 2 days. Anyway, he descended downstairs straight toward Professor Mickelson's office, hoping that he wasn't too late. It's after hours, Mark. The professor is one of those unconventional people who worked at all hours. He wasn't a workaholic, but he was a night owl. You know what? I won't talk. I can't. Mark had no clue where he got the energy. Well,
Blood.
Yes, but how often do you think Nate and Kyle actually go to class? I have some questions about how often Nate and Kyle go to class. This is correct. Mark found the professor in his cramped office, frowning over a stack of essays. With his red pen in one hand, he loomed over his students' work. The professor rubbed his eyes as he concentrated. Mark was impressed by his late-night dedication. Between committees, research, student organizations, and grading. He was a busy faculty member. Okay, hold on. He's a faculty member, right? Which means he's got to go to faculty meetings, which are during the day. And it's true, he's going to have committee work. He's going to have to be like on like the work-life balance committee, the committee for student safety, the blood drive committee, perhaps.
Always. He's a big proponent of the yearly blood drive.
Absolutely. He's clearly sort of leading student organizations. Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose if you're a vampire, right,
It's amazing the things you can do with an extra 8 hours in the day.
Yeah. You consider that office cramped? What do you think a spacious office looks like, right? Mark wondered what it'd be like to work in academia. Yeah. We could talk about that, Mark. It was tempting to have power? Power. Oh, my friend. Oh, my friend.
This is Mark.
Oh, Mark.
Mark, buddy.
Oh.
He's like, wow, professors are so powerful.
Oh, to discuss
the power
things...
of knowledge.
Oh, no. To discuss things as an equal among experts, to be addressed as doctor or professor, influence minds, maybe even change the world with a shocking discovery. Mark.
Buddy.
Also, Scabriac notes that Professor Mickelson is also the head of the Ponytail Committee, which is also true.
Yeah, have you seen that hair? Of course he's head of the Ponytail Committee.
The faculty meeting is truly more powerful than the sword. Oh, you know, Mark, buddy, we gotta talk about this later. The job was almost perfect, except for grading finals. But I feel like you're doing that, Mark. Professor grimaced as he turned a page. He leaned away from a student's paper and waved it in the air.
Do my students even realize they're taking ancient civilizations? Listen to this one. Julius Caesar is a great man because he invented the Caesar salad.
Yeah, that's bad. Prax knows that sometimes people do this. They write those things down. Icepoint says, making a vampire ahead of the blood drive, is that not the same as, like, in German, like, den Bock zum Gärtner machen? Yes. Mr. Monkey, power. Ha! You're lucky if your future includes. Would you like fries with that? Whew. Oh,
it's better than last year's Greeks or college students in fraternities and sororities.
That's actually true as well.
Always the optimist. Keep that trait.
Forever.
Professor Mickelson took the graded papers from Mark's hands.
You're freezing.
This is the first time you've noticed?
Really? I'm comfortable.
I just have bad circulation, you know.
You're finished with these papers? Thanks. You've been a huge help this semester. It's difficult to find a quiet moment to grade around here.
Krillin, that was Caesar Cardini. Professor, do your job better. Yes. Practice face-palmed on that line. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she should totally have a lie to cover that one, right? Or like, my office doesn't have a lot of heating. You know, I would actually just keep the office pretty cold. I'll be honest, in 20 years in fast food, I've never said that. Oh. Probably because it already comes with it, the fries, you know?
I saw the tail end of the amphitheater performance outside. Your twin friends were there. I don't think I've told you, but they'd taken one of my classes before.
Why are you having this conversation? That's very strange. Go on.
Because the vampire factions are out and about.
They were with some unsavory company tonight. I advise you to stay away. Your future depends on it. Bad company is bad for the mind.
Too close.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the obvious.
They've been hanging out with Kyle and Nate since the start of the semester. Neither are doing well. Kyle and Nate are always exhausted, coming home late. I think they're getting into fights. They come home with cuts and bruises.
Oh, Mark.
Mark, bless your heart. Bless your heart. This is why you're being groomed by the professor.
Scabriac says, I don't think they've used would you like fries with that since boomers worked at McDonald's over the summer to pay their tuition and rent for the year. No, actually, yeah, they don't usually ask, do you want fries? They usually ask, at least in the burger places, like, do you want to supersize that or whatever, right? Like, that was the question.
Would you like to make that a combo meal?
Yeah.
Or would you like to make a meal?
Yeah, right? Yes. Unless it's a pizza place, in which case I don't think they ask you anything.
No. I feel like he seems like this professor's kind of his idol.
Yes.
And he was super sus of his friends, so I think he would choose to say, I'll be careful, Professor.
I agree with you. By the way, hey, Crit Twitch. I agree with you because I feel like it's my choice. I'll still be their friend. Seems weirdly hostile to a person that he is clearly enthralled.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Also,
who's getting him a job?
Yeah, he's getting him a job, and then also, yeah. Carl, do you think Professor Wilson teaches angel dosing because he was there?
Yes. Yes.
I'll be careful, Professor.
Also, I still feel that Professor is overstepping.
Well. Did you see the performance?
Yes.
Yes. This semester's theme is immortality. That's why the acting troupe chose Dorian Gray. They'll perform Frankenstein next month.
How are we interpreting immortality with Frankenstein? Like legacy?
Maybe Frankenstein's monster will live forever? I don't know.
Oh, man, I feel like Frankenstein's monster's gonna die. The professor stilled.
Immortality? That's an interesting choice. Do you think immortal characters are portrayed mostly as good or as evil in literary sources? Just curious.
Well, I imagine it depends on what kind of immortal creatures, right? Because
yeah,
like angels and whatnot, they're immortal and portrayed as positive, right? Yeah, lots of angels, guardian angels, they're like positive immortals.
Yeah, like Dracula was pretty cool.
Rissa's like, 30-minute warning. I'm off to Englehart. Have a great trip and keep yourself safe and hydrated. I will, thank you. I really didn't want to take 2 5-liter bags of water, but I might have to. What do you think about other... Oh, aliens. Some aliens are immortal, and they're not necessarily portrayed as negative, right?
Elves.
Most stories always have them as the bad guys.
Elves. Robots are not necessarily evil. They're mixed bag robots, right? And they're immortal.
Yeah.
Yes. Ghosts are often evil, but sometimes not.
Sometimes they're neutral, you know?
Lindy, just because you want to be bitten doesn't make Dracula good.
Look, maybe he was just mega misunderstood.
And all those people he murdered were just like, you know.
Look.
I agree. What's your opinion? If immortal beings such as vampires existed,
for example,
do you think they would be evil?
Depends on the mythology, right?
Yeah, because we've got like Dracula, and then we've got like other vampires.
Dracula killed lots of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
is,
I'm just okay. Look,
population control needs to be a thing.
All I'm saying is that if it's like in the Buffyverse, vampires are fundamentally evil demons until they weren't for a while.
If they're real, I think it'd be wrong to judge them. But what if they kill those they bite?
Yeah, again, this really depends on the nature of vampirism. Right?
Yeah, I feel like we don't know enough about these types of vampires to make a judgment.
So in Night's Black Agent solo ops, they give you tools to design your own vampires. Because as the director, the game master, you've got to figure out like how you want to design them. Like, what are they weak to? Like, what are their things, right? And that's like, what do they symbolize? Like, where does vampirism come from? And they give some really interesting questions to ponder about that, which I was very happy for.
Very few vampires are murderers. At least in today's fiction.
Is that true?
Well, I mean, look at Twilight.
Right, but aren't like vampires pretty much murderers in like Blade and Underworld? Well, maybe not Underworld, but like, right?
You know, I think it depends what fiction you're paying attention to.
Basically, whether or not the vampires the heroes or not, or like the love interests.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah.
Or how hot the vampires are.
Yes. Mark thought Nate would be shocked to hear that Professor Mickelson read vampire books.
Nate might not be as surprised as you think, Mark.
Sometimes Mickelson talked about his hobby. Usually when Professor Mickelson spoke about immortality or vampire lore, he was always animated. He liked the mystery of how these stories appeared across many societies.
Today's fiction? I thought you liked the classics.
Vampires are not murderers in BTM. Nope. Some vampires murder, but vampirism does not require murder. That is correct.
I try to keep up with the times.
In the same way that in some stories, being a werewolf is not fun. It's bad. It's a curse, and you murder people without your desire to do so. Like you just you cannot control turning, and then you murder people. And it's not great.
It happens.
Yeah. In other ones, it's like, I'm just a werewolf. I'm just hanging out. Werewolf, you know.
I can shift when I want. I'm a badass. Woo.
And I've got good abs.
They always have good abs.
Hey, I just realized something. I feel like modern werewolves, always have good abs, but I think it's really a mixed bag whether or not vampires have good abs.
Maybe.
Right? Because they're, we don't know if vampires have good abs or not. We don't know. And the transformation hurts. Glancing at the doctor's tweed jacket and bow tie, Mark doubted his statement.
If you were given the opportunity to be immortal, like the vampires, would you be one?
It's a weird question.
Grooming.
It is a grooming
question. Ooh. Ooh. Now this is I feel like this is a major tree point here.
I think this is a major tree point. Yes. This is a major tree point. So what we know about Mark so far is that he's weirdly judgy about morality, but not about other things. Like he clearly like we shouldn't judge vampires, right? So that's like a sort of space of, and he also is hanging out with Nate and Kyle, and he's irritated by their pranks, but it's not.
But also he doesn't seem like a hunter. Like I'd rather hunt the bad ones.
No. Drinking blood would be disgusting. Also, I'd miss food too much. That does not seem to be his personality, right?
Yeah.
In the sense that I don't see him.
I feel like he's really a sure who wouldn't want to live forever kind of guy.
I agree with you because he was just talking about like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, "Wow, wouldn't that be great?"
That I could read forever.
And he wasn't talking about like, so I could be with Jody forever.
No.
He didn't say that.
He did not. No, he did not say that. He said, because here's the thing, on a geek, I don't think when he talked about earlier about wanting to live forever, it was not to be with the girl. It was so that he could learn more languages. Like
it was so that he could learn more languages. Yep.
Yeah. So I think we have to go with who wouldn't want to live forever.
Yep.
Right, and the same So it does. Yeah. Poor Jody.
Sure. Who wouldn't want to live forever?
Oh, friend.
What about drinking blood? Abandoning humanity and not being able to stand sunlight? Who'd want to live as a monster?
People are too fragile. Just look at what happened to my mom.
Ooh.
His mom died.
Yeah.
It was cancer, wasn't it?
Mark nodded.
Yeah.
I'd want to have all the time in the world to explore, to actually experience the ages. The side effects would be a small price for studying centuries. Don't you also think so, Professor?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I would way rather be a vampire than a werewolf.
Same though. See, this is the biggest argument in my household because I'm all like team vampires and Shiny Pilot's all like no werewolves, and I'm like it's the biggest argument we have.
Wow.
Vampires versus werewolves.
Like first
which is cooler.
Werewolves. Well, it's not about coolness. Like werewolves are not immortal.
Yeah.
Transformation usually hurts, like a lot.
Yeah.
You don't really get special powers. You just have to murder some people, depending on your lore.
Well, depending on the type of werewolfness, you know.
Yeah.
Really fickle.
Yeah, but vampires get to like turn into bats, maybe. Like you get a lot of stuff if you're a vampire. Yeah.
I'm definitely team vampire.
And you get to live longer, which I feel like, and like your blood has healing properties. I just feel like vampire. As they stood in his dark office, why is it dark? Mickelson didn't answer. People. I have feelings about this.
He was evaluating his answer for the interview on Friday. It's okay, we get it.
That's fair. Before we do anything further, I feel like we should save.
We should save.
We're going to just save here, like tap 2 saves. And we should probably check our screen, right? Oh. Wait, hold on. Full-on Enforcer. I feel like Enforcer must be Mickelson's team, right?
I think so.
Yeah, and then House of Skulls must clearly be Damien et al.'s team.
I just can't imagine Mark in leather-studded jacket.
Oh no,
with the hair dye.
Yeah, no, I can't. All right, this is you.
St. George's University campus mourned Kendra, the murdered college student. Gray-robed monks held an outdoor Catholic mass. It was standing room only. Her dormmates huddled crying against each other near the altar.
I really like the architectural... I just want to note that we have this really old church next to what is very clearly a more modern building that was probably built in at least the 60s, maybe the 80s. Appreciate the detail.
Mourners tried to comfort them, but they continued bawling, ripping away. Her young life made no sense.
vampires. Aww.
Mark stared at the procession and hoped silently that no one else would be a victim.
Well.
The stifling sun beat down the solemn crowd. Squeezing through the throngs of students, Mark reached the shaded sidewalk.
I want to know how the 50s how people died when they played this game already. Where did they die? When did they die?
Where did you die? Yeah.
When did they die?
He took in a deep breath, glad to be out of the crowds and away from the direct heat. Some of those around him wore angry expressions, others crossed their arms, some were simply stunned. Many had puffy stares or listless eyes. St. George's was a small campus, and Kendra's death affected every person.
2 murders on such a small campus? Somebody got to deal with something. If it was built in the 60s, I feel like it would have fewer windows. Oh,
yeah, that seems like a 90s, like an 80s, 90s building.
80s, 90s, yeah. I suppose it says the modern building houses the sciences because they blew up the old one. Yeah. The twins spent them to Damien. Probably.
The tragedy rocked the campus, and few students felt safe.
I wouldn't either.
Female students now never left without at least 2 other friends beside them. Some students started carrying concealed weapons. The local stores sold out of mace.
But I don't think mace hits vampires, right?
They don't think they know it's vampires.
Oh, I see. VTuber says, 2 places. There's also a human route and a hunter route that opens in the first 3 chapters. Oh. Interesting. Okay. I'll find out about this, right?
2 voices caught Mark's attention.
Worrisome. Oh.
The professor, looking pale and fatigued, argued with Brother Luke. It's because he's in the sunlight.
It's because he's in the sunlight, yes. Oh.
I think Mark would be curious why they would fight or wouldn't like seeing either of his teachers argue.
Right, I agree with you. Because I feel like he shouldn't be arguing with him. Monk doesn't feel particularly Marky, at least the Mark that we've known so far. And
not the Mark that we've known so far.
Yeah. And he doesn't seem to distrust religious men either, since he had a pretty decent relationship with Brother Luke earlier. So I agree with you. Either he doesn't like seeing his teachers argue, because he does seem to be a little bit weirdly conflict averse, although he likes to think that he's badass in his mind.
He does seem kind of conflict averse, yeah.
Yeah, but I can also see him being curious as to why they would fight, but did not ask. So, like, I think he's a rich. I feel like Mark has a rich inner world where he thinks a lot of things like, I'd beat them up with my judo. I wonder what they're doing, but then just not ask those questions out loud.
Yeah.
So, what do we think?
Are you leaning towards one over the other?
Do we want to ask the chat?
Oh.
We could do a poll. Because I'm not leaning towards either one.
Yeah, I'm like, I think either would be an interesting route.
Okay, I'm gonna do a poll.
He doesn't like them arguing, but he would also be like, why are they arguing?
So what are Mark's feelings? We're gonna do a poll. Are they doesn't like arguing? I'm also just thinking about the fact that he like doesn't talk to his dad anymore at all, right?
Curious about why they would, or curious about fight.
Yeah, okay. All right, here we go. Starting a poll. 1 minute. Y'all, it's in there.
Ooh.
The poll is happening.
Excited to see.
Yeah, I am excited to see too, like what is going on. Because I think it's interesting. So what do we know about Mark? We know that his mother died of cancer, and
that his new stepmom is all like flirty with him, and he's really awkward by that.
And feels uncomfortable. Like and he's really mad at his dad about it, and he thinks his dad is somehow being immoral, right? Which is kind of like
cut off communication.
Yeah, and he cut off communication.
But he also stares at women's blouses.
And plans to go to a sorority party and party hardy.
Oh, party hardy, yeah.
I just hope we get to a big fight before your time's up. We'll see. I don't know. Is there gonna be a big fight? Is there a big fight? That's wait, what?
Is that where our judo comes in? Is it like the song actual Cannibal Shia LaBeouf, and then it's like, but you can do jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, but then still though. Okay, he does not like arguing. That is what we've got. That is what we
He doesn't like seeing either of his teachers argue. All right.
Okay. Thank you, chat. Let's see what we got. Usually, this is you, right? Yes.
Usually, Mickelson was polite with March's French professor, so it shocked Mark to see how the two were bitterly bickering. The professor kept his distance from the monk. Blessing himself at the sign of the cross, Brother Luke walked stiffly away from Mickelson as the professor frowned.
Oh, that's strange. Maybe he's into women's fashion. You just want to think the worst. Maybe. Okay.
A small band started to play a farewell for Kendra. Professor Mickelson joined Mark onto the covered sidewalk. He looked exhausted.
Yeah.
It's a shame for such a young woman to die. There's no respect.
No, not like ancient vampires.
What's going on with Brother Luke?
We are all concerned with what's going on around campus.
Brother Luke's like, yo, you gotta keep your vampires in check. And he's like, they're not my vampires.
And he's like, I didn't know he did
His eyes dragged lightly to the left as he spoke.
Interesting.
The sweet scent of sunscreen struck Mark's nose. Mickelson must have bathed in it.
Perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned more vampire lore.
Mark dispassionately watched the mass. Mark was not a religious person, but he understood the campus's need to say farewell to Kendra.
Interesting. I wonder if that line is because of the choices we've made.
I wonder, probably.
Probably.
As he watched Brother Luke celebrating the mass with the other monks, he wondered why he and the professor fought.
I wonder too. Scabinak notes that Mark has a staring problem.
He does. Eventually, something about the sacrament caught his attention.
Really? Oh.
Curious by the steps in the service, Mark noticed the priest holding up something small around. The monk declared it was the actual body of Jesus the Christ.
Okay, wait though. I have a question. So Mark says he's not particularly religious and all that, but he's a senior at what is clearly
a Catholic college, yes.
And one that is not like Catholic in the past, but one that still has active monks.
Yes.
So I feel like they most of the Catholic colleges that I know usually have religion as a required course, like as part of their like distribution requirements.
Yep.
So come on, Mark.
Come on, Mark. Mark didn't understand, but apparently they believed it to be so, and they handled it with reverence.
Mark, you should actually know this.
He glanced at Mickelson.
You should go to a Catholic university, Mark.
Mickelson turned away from the sight.
He's also wearing a signet ring.
Mark was about to whisper to him, and the monks proceeded to step among the crowd, blessing the students with sprinkles of holy water. Flick, flick.
Oh, well, okay.
As they passed, a few present proceeded to reverently make the sign of the cross, beginning by raising their hands to the forehead, touching their upper stomach, and ending the movement touching both shoulders.
My nieces and nephews go to a Catholic school and have had religion classes since first grade. Right, Scabinak? Hawkeye says, a Catholic college, he should be well versed in it by now. Right. I'm just saying I feel like he should know about this. Uh-oh.
The monks walked, sprinkling water left and right. Some of it landed on Mark and those beneath the shaded sidewalk.
Oops. Oops.
The professor jumped and leaned against the brick wall.
Okay.
Are you all right?
No.
Professor Mickelson looked ill. His breathing quickened, his skin ashen.
We learned new things.
Oh, I think he would help his professor.
Of course he'd help his professor.
Obviously, yes.
Come on.
Please.
Please.
Just a little weak. I think I did too much today and yesterday. Class has been canceled, so you need not come.
Okay.
Mickelson straightened himself and grimaced. Mark frowned at his pained expression.
I'll be okay. Will I see you at the Society of Arts tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, of course.
Of course we're gonna be there.
He's already in
we,
like Flynn.
We rescheduled our date so we could be there.
Come on. Also, he needs a job.
Yeah, I'll be there.
He does need a job.
He's clearly not being supported by his dad anymore, you know? I mean,
yeah.
Like, there's issues going on.
Issues.
Because, like, maybe his new stepmama's like, I don't know. Ooh, okay. There was a missed call on his cell phone. Mark frowned. The number was one he recognized but never used, hesitating.
It's his dad.
Yep. He pressed redial. I like the hands. A cheery, feminine voice answered the line.
Stepmom.
Oh, Mark! It's been a long time. How's school?
Fine.
Your father told me you're not coming home. I don't see why you don't. It's not like I'm going to bite.
Is she a vampire too?
What if she's a vampire?
I think I might be interrupting your honeymoon period.
I don't understand what's wrong with you two. Always so serious.
This is very weird.
If only you smiled some more. You're too handsome to be frowning all of the time.
Not something your stepmom should say to you.
No. Instead married Missy from Bill and Ted. So here's the thing.
Ooh.
The words are flirty, but the tone is worried, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you up to, stepmom? That's what he wants to know.
He wants to know what you want for your graduation.
Why is she calling?
What I want?
She's only like 4 years older than Mark. Yeah.
Yes, what you want. We're not able to make it. We are going to Paris.
This is really weird that she's calling him. I'm feeling as Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't he have told me that?
Yeah.
Well,
That's a good
you
question.
know your father. It's difficult for him too, you know. You remind him too much of the past. He's trying to move on in his life.
Okay.
To stop mourning.
That's not...
You remind me too much of your mother, Mark.
But also it's weird for her to be saying that to him. Like, you know, he needs to move on. Like, this just...
Why do you think he doesn't go home?
There was too much sadness that day. Mark wanted to forget it all. She was only making it worse. Yeah, she is making it worse. I'd be like, what?
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely Mark's... No, this is not Mark's fault. This right here is not Mark's fault.
So if he ignores me, he can forget about her.
Yes. Mark had some of his mother's traits. But he also inherited some of his father's. It seems so unfair. That was the excuse his father gave it every time he avoided Mark. Yeah, I'm not into Mark's dad. I don't like him. I'm also not into this new stepwife. I don't like her either. I think all this is inappropriate.
Oh, no, his mom died from cancer. It wasn't a divorce.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Mark closed his eyes and tried his best to imagine his mother while she was still healthy. It was hard. For most of his teenage years, she fought to survive. Yeah, I'm not, like, I don't know what's up. I just feel like there might be some kind of, like, a Philippa situation, like a Witcher Rhodes home situation going on. Her thin hands used to stroke his cheeks and his hair. In those frail moments, his mother used to softly say how proud she was of him, how she would always love him, and that he and his father would be there for each other. This is definitely his fault. Stepwife. Yeah, I don't. However, his father's actions towards his mother's last promise to a lie. I don't like it. Not like
Mark's dad's a douchebag.
Yeah, and I don't.
We're gonna call him Marcus.
Yeah.
He can send me cash instead. Or how about buying me a car? Does he think money makes me happy? Is that what you want to hear?
Maybe he is paying for Mark's college.
He wouldn't care anyways. Tell him to love me enough to call me himself when you both return home.
Yeah, maybe he should have. Like, yeah, okay. Oof. Mark closed the phone. Stepwife isn't a thing, is it? Something wet hit his cheeks. Lifting his hand, he realized he was crying. A knock rapped on his door. He quickly wiped his face.
That was fast.
It was the twins.
Nate and I wanted to know if you want to study at the library.
Ambush.
Since when are you interested in studying?
Mm-hmm.
When it's an ambush.
Sorry, we heard through the walls. Fight with your stepmom again?
Mark looked embarrassed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ooh, I don't know if he should go for a walk on his own, though.
Oh, yeah.
He does kind of love studying.
He does love studying, and he knows that his friends Kyle and Nate have not been doing particularly well. So maybe he thinks that, like, if he studies with them, he'll be
And yeah, his professor said to maybe he didn't say avoid him. He said to be careful.
And he
but if they're
just
just going
avoid
to
their friends, right?
Yeah, so just going to the library to study should be fine.
Yeah, and he does seem to like to hang out with them.
Yeah, I feel like if he went for a walk on his own, also he would totally get ambushed by the friends or something. Yeah.
But also, I feel like maybe he seems a little avoidant, so I kind of think that when he's feeling down, he would probably want it. He's been wondering where they were the last 3 days. I think he likes to hang out with people.
That is true. Yeah. And they're maybe going on a road trip. So
right, yeah.
Sounds like a good idea.
And he has the vampire snacks around, so they're the ones who get eaten first. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that he would do a little bit of avoidance, right? Like, oh, let's just go to the library. Not realizing his friends are ambushers.
Stretching, Mark leaned back on the library's cushy couches. Kyle and Nate flopped their heads back against where they sat. Scribbled notes and stacked reference books were scattered on the table between them. Kyle and Nate had scratched and copied study hints next to their thin original class notes. Their notes were a mess. They'd only written a few words per slide and hadn't bothered to write down any of their class lectures.
Krellin says, what if everyone sucks here? You want to know who sucks in this game? Vampires. What?
Yay! Yeah, they do.
Thank you, Hawkeye.
Mark wondered how they passed if this was their normal work.
It's a good question.
Reviewing materials was good practice. The twins haven't asked for a study group in months. This was a positive change. Maybe those two had taken his advice and would finish the year seriously.
Oh, yeah, this is very Mark. This is very Mark.
This is so Mark. If anything, this was the distraction Mark needed.
This is very Mark.
2 hours of studying later, and Mark's brain started to feel like mush. Mark felt groggy and yawned. The twins looked at each other.
Ambush?
You're tired, right? Go on ahead of us. We'll be fine.
Mm-mm. Mark left the library and started tracing back the sidewalks.
Hey, guess what?
It's a vamp bush.
It's a
vampire
bush.
ambush. It was dark and quiet around the campus. No one was around. But at least Mark knows judo.
Yeah, theoretically. Hi, Toy Boat.
A soft breeze blew past Mark. He rubbed his arms, trying to smooth the goosebumps that rose. He turned the corner around the gym.
Ambush.
A voice from the shadows whispered next to his ear.
What'd I just say? Ambush. One vampire at the neck is worth two in the bush.
Found you.
Twins. Hey, Damien and Ginger.
Shock.
We sent you a snack. Oh.
A heavy weight tackled him against the gym wall. He judo reflexed condition made him flip his attacker. Nice. Good job. He still got bit, it looks like, though. Before he could make a step to run, the green hair punk leapt, backhanding him. A stinging, throbbing pain laced through his cheek. A fist came towards him. Mark saw it coming, but couldn't dodge it.
Oh.
With a loud smack, Mark was hit with an uppercut. He slumped as his shirt collar was grabbed. His attacker lifted him from the ground. Mark kicked out his feet, but the punk ignored him. Mark couldn't move. His teeth sunk in his neck. As he hollered for help, a clammy hand covered his mouth. Mark quickly lost his strength. His green mohawked attacker gave him a bloody grin.
Oh, no.
That will keep you quiet.
Ow.
Drop that student.
Good job, Professor Mickelson.
I will say this, at least Professor Mickelson understands if you lose your TA, that means you have to do all the grading, you know?
Yeah, he knows this.
Yeah. Ooh. It's nice.
The punk swung around towards Mickelson, the skull charm around his neck chimed with the movement. He hissed in frustration.
It's a bad sign.
Yeah, you don't fuck with the vampire elders. Shock blocked Mickelson's view of his victim.
What are you going to do?
I feel like Shock's
You're
gonna
not the
die
boss
here.
of me.
You're not the boss of me?
Look, your friends were scared of this guy, Shock. I'm not...
Yeah.
I'm just saying you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, don't... Yeah. Oh!
Mickelson pulled out a stake from inside his jacket pocket and took measured steps towards Mark's attacker.
Oh, okay.
I've been keeping an eye on you, Skulls. Don't break the code. Use only willing donors. Keep the secret safe.
I wonder what he's talking about.
Vampirism! Mark fought to remain conscious. Panting and keeping his hand on his neck wound, he had to think of something, anything. He fought to stay awake.
It's a lot of blood loss, and you've been tired. You didn't have any donuts or anything.
No. Skulls? Where had he seen that necklace before? Was this creep a vampire wannabe? He hoped the professor would found help soon.
I just got a note. If you did not notice that, like, all of your friends are wearing skull necklaces, again, you are not that perceptive. You're dump stat wisdom.
Dump stat wisdom. I
haven't done anything wrong, Enforcer. I was thirsty.
Apparently the code says no.
You're killing him.
What do you care? It's just an animal.
Yikes. Yikes.
I'll enforce this stake straight through your heart. He threw Mark to the ground and flicked open a switchblade. Oh. Mark wanted to call out to his mentor, warn him, but Mark held back. If he called out, it could fatally distract the professor. Mark shivered. He could die. They could both die.
I feel like, again, Mark, right? A little comedy.
I also feel like Shock preying on college students, most of whom don't know judo, is no match for the professor, who's probably lived since ancient Rome.
Yeah.
That kind of attitude is what gets you killed!
Is it my TA, you punk? He does not work for me! Ooh.
Mickelson rushed at the vampire. The green-haired vampire stepped back as the stake swiped the front of his shirt. They grappled. Mickelson kicked out. The attacker slammed into the wall before sliding partway. He pushed himself off the wall, launching at Mickelson. Mickelson sidestepped the incoming punch. The fanged attacker stumbled before turning around.
Oh, so our friend noticed the fangs.
I feel like this is a big fight. Oh! Thunk! A sickening crack and a squish. Mickelson staked the man's chest. Horror across the attacker's face as he realized what had happened.
I enforce the code! That's why I care.
I think he's the enforcer stat.
Yes.
Yeah. He pulled the stake out and the vampire fell face down with a muffled thud. Mark gasped shallow breaths. Mickelson raced to him. Horror and recognition crossed his face. Tearing his sleeve, he used its material to staunch the blood flowing from Mark's neck. It seems like Mickelson is like...
Son of a bitch.
That son of a bitch. We were supposed to wait for this for tomorrow night. He couldn't wait a day, damn it.
Right, I had stuff to do. Oh, it's a very eventful evening. Yes, it's Mickelson from the top rope.
Sorrow fell across Mickelson's features. Mark was proud of the professor. He stopped the campus murderer. Suddenly, Mark's vision faded. He sputtered through shallow breaths.
Ooh, that was a big bite. I also really like the blood here because some blood doesn't really look very good, but this looks very good.
Oh, God.
It does look good.
I'm gonna die.
Nah.
Mickelson answered with a note of finality in his voice and a confidence Mark did not have.
No. You haven't lost all of your blood. You are not going to die today.
Yeah, I wonder...
You're just going to be reborn!
Oh, twice. I wonder how my students would feel if they saw me murdering a vampire in the middle of campus.
They probably think you're pretty cool.
Nice. Or that I'm a murderer. And they would call the police.
Maybe both.
Maybe both. Oh. Okay.
I feel like this is a good stopping point.
It is a good stopping point. This is what I think too. I feel like this is
where we should save and pick up next week.
Yes, I'm gonna go and save right now.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, save. Do I want to overwrite that save? Yes, I do.
Yeah, we do.
Back and then main menu. That's also totally fine. Main menu. I'm fine with that. Okay, so in which case, oh, you know what we didn't do?
What?
We didn't check our stats.
Oh, we didn't.
Wait. We gotta go back in. We gotta check our stats because like.
Just gotta check those stats.
Yeah. Because we gotta see what it looks like, right? Hold on. Let me load. We're just gonna load. Okay, hold on. What are our stats? Here we go. Full-on enforcer, half and half humanity.
Well, yeah.
Some relations with Jody and the twins. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right.
It's not bad. Okay. All right. Good. So. Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to give our outros.
Okie dokie.
You should start.
Oh, you want me to start? Okay. Yeah. Hi. This was super fun. I feel like the game of Mark's poor life decisions is going well. We're not dead yet, just maybe undead. And still gonna make that job interview probably tomorrow night.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's going pretty well. All things considered, I wonder what ending we're going to get out of the apparent 30 possible endings.
Over 30.
Over 30. Gosh, golly gee willikers.
Okay, so I want to note that 50% of people who play this game have already died already. We had apparently at least 2 different spaces where he could have died.
Mm-hmm. We could have also stayed human or become a hunter. So lots of interesting things.
Right? Here's my thought. My thought is that we would have died at this fight if we'd been rude to our professor.
Yeah, if like Professor Mickelson didn't know what we were about or something.
Yeah. If you were like, I don't care about that meeting, I'm gonna get my own job. I don't care
I'm
about
gonna get
you.
my own job. I live my own life, Professor. I don't just grade your papers all the rest of my life. Yeah.
Then I don't think it would have helped us.
No, I don't think so. But you can find me online, loving vampires, elsewhere at Laugh Love Lindy, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, etc. I play and GM some tabletop RPGs. On Sunday, I will be on Praxagora Thesma. Yes?
I just, the YouTuber wanted to make a link, but he wasn't a regular, so I'm adding him to a regular right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You can find me on Sunday night at Praxagora Thesmaphoria's channel for a finale of our Mechta and Corporate Raiders game, which I'm very excited about. And you can find on my channel, Monday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, our first episode of our new Mondays in Exandria campaign. The new batch, all new characters. I am very excited about them all. They're I think it's going to be a fun and eclectic bunch. So that new campaign starts. Also, on Tuesday, if I can get all my shit together, we will start a short shot, 4 or 5 episode little mini thing of high-level content, 14, 15 level characters that are gonna just do a little job. They're gonna do just a little, get an item, find a thing. It'll be great. There's no horrific twist anywhere in there that they're not expecting.
I feel like that's not true.
It's gonna be beautiful. That's where you can find me at the moment.
Also next Wednesday.
And on Wednesday for our Good Society game. Yes, that Trooper's facilitator for.
I am. So you can get the and thank you, VTuber. VTuber dropped the walkthrough, which I'm not going to look at right now because I don't want to be spoiled. But also you can get the game on Steam or also on itch.io if you prefer the itch.io. VTuber thanks us both. Well, I wanted to play this game with Lindy. That was a thing that I needed to have happen because Lindy, I feel like Lindy appreciates some vampires and then also some questionable choices, right? Also, our judo throw came into account.
It did.
It did.
Shockingly.
So I'm Trooper SJP. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it very much for hanging out with us. And let's see. So I'm going to get on my bicycle laid down with all sorts of stuff and ride off to a campsite tomorrow in 98-degree heat. And then we're going to be camping all weekend, so you will not see me online for the next 3 days. But on Wednesday, it will be the Hexhamshire Moors, upon the Hexhamshire Moors, with Lindy, our Good Society game, where there has been a lot of exciting drama has been what happened. And Lindy's all about it because she's a murderer. And, well, not her, but her character totally murdered everybody, as far as we know. And I've not done the teeth wear test yet, but I'm going to, then I'll let you know how it went. And then you can find me on Thursday back here for part 2 of Twice Reborn. So we can find out what happens next, which I'm excited about. And then Friday next week will be part 3 of Night's Black Agent Solo Ops Seasons of Death Autumn with Grimjack, where we find out what Archangel Gabriel, Quentin Archangel Gabriel does on their way to Malta to deal with some vampires. And I think that's me, at least for the next time period, and of course Saturday, the Outer Worlds. And that's us. So, I'm not going to raid because I'm going to get food, but at 10 o'clock over at KY Hawkeye's channel, he will be hosting Critical Role, so you can all go hang out there and watch it. And, and then I'll be picking it up afterwards. So, thank you, and thank you, VTuber, for this awesome game. And I can't wait to find out what happens with us afterwards, because, it'll be dangerous. And Ice Bunny says, remember to freeze some water so you don't have to drink warm water on the ride. Thank you, everybody, and we will catch you all on the flip side. Take care, everybody. Bye!